Jahmyr Gibbs, he did have a career game, 126 total yards, his first touchdown, and 9 total catches in the loss. Sunday Night Football, the Eagles slowed down the high-octane Dolphins with a 31-17 win. Before that, Green Bay couldn't gain ground on Detroit. They lost to the Broncos 19-17. The Packers are 2-4, the Lions 5-2, and still atop the NFC North. And in baseball, the Rangers over the Astros 9-2 to force a Game 7 in the ALCS. Winner goes to the World Series. At the Ticket Update desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
The telephone number is 248-539-9797. As Mr. Announcer Voice said, we are honored again, like we are every Monday, to be joined by Super Bowl champion and NFL Hall of Fame nominee, the one, the only T.J. Lang. Mm-hmm. How are you?
Okay, I guess.
Good. You got to see it in person. You got to see it with the eye, not on TV. You were right there on the sideline.
Had a great crab cake yesterday. That was the highlight of the day.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, really good. Don't know where it was from.
They brought it to the stadium, or?
Yeah, John, they usually get the some food in the equipment room.
Yeah.
The other team, usually the home team's equipment crew will, provide a in-town snack or meal for the other guys, and hung out in there for a while and had a great crab cake. And that was the that was the highlight.
You had Maryland's best. Crab cake and football.
Yeah, got both of them.
They gave both of them to Detroit.
Split it right down the middle, 1-1. It's an ugly game.
Yeah, it was.
Game.
And we've gone after it, and we did yesterday on the postgame show in two different ways. Number one, the game itself, and number two, any type of ramifications. What does it mean down the road and all that? And just, we obviously want to get what you felt. The game obviously sucked, gross. Everybody, there's nobody who played really well, number one. But number two, they're 5-2, and I think they are in good stead as long as it doesn't, carry over.
Yeah, I kind of felt like yesterday, and look, I don't think it's fair to question people's effort in the NFL. And I didn't think it was an effort issue.
No.
I thought it was kind of some deja vu of what's been bad about this team really the last couple of years. When they've been bad, what's the reason? Defensively, they looked kind of tired to me. I mean, they looked a little tired. After every explosive play, you see guys kind of pointing to the sideline and, like begging for a substitution almost, and guys kind of just walking around. I thought the body language was not good. It's hard to pinpoint. I mean, you look at yesterday's game and you say, okay, the Lions, if they play like that, probably going to lose to anybody they play. But if Baltimore plays like that, I feel like they would have kicked anybody's ass they would have played yesterday in the league as well. Like, it was one of those, you were off and they were just playing the best game they could possibly play, right? And that's obviously a recipe for a complete disaster. I don't think there's any room to panic because I think this team, what they've shown us now over the last probably full season of 17 games, is that they know how to rebound. They know how to go into the foxhole and, kind of regroup. And, hey, we've had a lot of positive noise around us. You're probably going to hear some negative things this week, but I don't think that's any cause for a panic and, hey, we got to start making all these changes. You just got to get back to work. It's one of those games. We've been talking all season. You're not going to win 16 games, right? You're going to lay a stinker out there eventually. I don't mean to be Mr. Positive, but good news is you're still a 5-2 football team and everything's ahead of you, right? I don't mean to be.
Stoney will hang up on you.
That's right.
Don't get mad at me, Stoney.
I know.
But it was just one of those days, and offensively, obviously, if you get into a shootout like that where your defense is struggling early, you can't go 3 and out every single drive.
Correct.
Right? You can't lay an egg in the red zone. It was just it was one of those days. It'll be interesting to see if this kind of boosts them into, rethinking maybe some moves that they weren't thinking about. Hey, trade deadline coming up. Hey, some free agents out there. I think yesterday was pretty clear that you still need help on the defensive line. The pass rush was absolutely nothing. I thought Hutchinson did he was noticeable.
Yeah.
But when he's getting double teamed and triple teamed and nobody else is winning, even come close to winning, you got an issue there. And I think you're going to have games where we saw against Atlanta where you're going to get 5 sacks, or Green Bay where, you can win a couple one-on-ones. But I think now we've seen kind of the pattern of this team is if Hutchinson's not getting back in the backfield, you don't really have anybody else there. Charles Harris, I don't know if Coach explained that.
He was a healthy scratch, right?
Healthy scratch. Kind of, I'm not saying Charles Harris is a premium pass rusher in this league, but that was a decision that was kind of like, okay, didn't really understand it, but I think it's clear that they need some pass rush help. I do. And I think, if anything, yesterday should kind of catapult that conversation with Brad Holmes and Dan saying, if we want to be the team we think we can be, we're not done building this team yet. We still need to bring in some help.
Schematically, defensively, it looked, and they said it on the TV broadcast, I'm sure you and Lomas pointed it out as well, the amount of cushion that was given the Baltimore receivers, it seems like it was like the Seattle game again. Without Jerry Jacobs, then now you want to say that hurt them maybe, but they just gave them so much room back there. It was ridiculous again.
It did remind me of the Seattle game a little bit, other than you're playing 15 yards off line of scrimmage and still lighting up explosive play after explosive play.
Yeah.
It was concerning because that's the exact same defense that we saw to get them in trouble against Seattle, right? When your pass rush is not getting home and you're playing 15 yards off the line of scrimmage, it's just not marrying up with each other. It's not matching up, because there were times yesterday where I saw Hutchinson beat his guy and get in the backfield, and it didn't matter because the ball's already coming out because they're just giving them these free 8 to 10 yard routes. And it's like you're not giving your guys a chance to get home, right, when you're playing that far off the line of scrimmage. It seemed to me like the game plan yesterday defensively was kind of bend but don't break. We know they're going to get some big plays. We know Lamar's going to make a couple explosives. But we'll get into the red zone. Hey, that's when we're going to hunker down. They didn't even come close to doing that. No. But I thought, I was extremely impressed with what Baltimore did offensively yesterday. Some of those play calls, John, we've been around football for our entire lives. I've never seen before. You're running like a read option
with a pass.
Lamar's, pretending to run and find a lane, and then all of a sudden you sneak the running back out late, and he goes for an 80-yard gain. It's like I've never seen these things.
The pass of the fullback.
Yeah, I've never seen those things, and I just thought it was. I talked to Anzalone after the game, and I could just tell these guys were like, man. When you play a quarterback like that, it's pick your poison. Like, do I want to, run up and tackle him, and now maybe I'm leaving a guy free? Do I want to hang back, and maybe now I'm giving him an extra 20 yards of room to run, and, his explosiveness, he can beat you either way? Like, that's got to be a tough guy to defend. But there's no excuse. There's no excuse. I thought thoroughly, they got their ass kicked, and you play long enough. John, you've been there. I've been there a bunch of times. It's going to happen in this league. It's all about how this team's going to respond this week moving forward, and their track record the last year and a half has kind of told me, hey, there's no reason to panic. I think they're going to get this thing back on the right track.
Well, and when they've lost, all right, they lost to Buffalo on Thanksgiving. They responded by beating Jacksonville 40-14. They lost at Carolina. They responded against Chicago 41-10. This year against Seattle, they lost. They responded with a win, not as dramatic as those first two, but they've always been able to respond. They're 13-4 over the past 17 games. And you're responding with not only a win, but like with a win streak, though.
Right.
Yes, yeah. That's it. Yeah. So, so you go Buffalo, and it was 3 in a row.
Yeah.
And I talked about the Jacksonville game. It was 40-14. Like, they put it on them.
Yeah.
And then it was Carolina. And then it was, 41-10 over Chicago. And there was only 2 games left. But you get the point that they don't dwell on one. They're able to turn the page. And you could turn the page when you have confidence in what you're doing. You have confidence in the coach. You have confidence just that's not who you are. And I didn't like it that I felt like they got beat up at the line of scrimmage, whether it was the offensive line or defensive line. But I have confidence that those guys know that's not who they are. That's not them over 17 games.
Yeah, uncharacteristic, I think we could say. I don't think there was anything about that game yesterday where we have to be concerned about, oh no, teams are figuring them out, or oh no, like it was a bad day. Jared Goff, I thought, on the offensive side, thought he was a little bit spooked early.
Yeah.
Double clutching a lot of throws, wasn't decisive like we've seen him play all season. He's all season. His biggest improvement in my mind is been driving the ball downfield. When you get one-on-one coverage, give Josh Reynolds a chance to make a play. Give give these guys a chance to make a play, and that's been a really good part of their offense. I thought yesterday just too many indecisive plays where you kind of look back and it's a quick play action. Ball should be coming out. Nope, double clutch. Now you're running around, right? And now you're dead. I mean, I didn't think he played great yesterday. But look, anytime you play a defensive line like that and you get hit early, especially, that's going to be in the back of your mind. So, it's kind of hard to blame him, but at the same time, it wasn't. The good part is you can't just look at this and say, I don't know if it's a good part or bad part, but you can't really look at one aspect and say, oh, it's because of that, right? It was just everybody. It was a collective effort. It was collectively bad, and let's just chalk it up to a bad day and hopefully get back to work.
Offense, defense, it sucked. The coordinators, I thought, had a bad game. They got beat by Mike McDonald and Todd Monken, and obviously Lamar is unbelievable. MVP, Jack Fox. All right, we'll take your phone call, 248-539-9797.
Hey, when I got a question about my finances, I turn to my bank, and that's First Merchants Bank. I know that their attentive local bankers are 100% interested in listening to my situation and in helping me find the answers that I need. First Merchants doesn't provide cookie-cutter solutions or check-off boxes when it comes to financial advice. They take the time to learn about my life, my personal and financial goals, and they work with me to build a plan that fits my situation. And that's because First Merchants Bank really cares. They care about you as a person, not just as a number, and they're going to do all they can to help their customers and communities succeed. You can count on that since First Merchants Bank is staffed by local bankers who know and are passionate about the needs of the local community because it's their community too, and we all have to work together to help our communities continue to prosper. To get started on your personalized financial solution today, you can visit them at firstmerchants.com. That's firstmerchants.com, member FDIC.
Seasons are very long and things change throughout the course of the season. If the Lions go to Baltimore and win, it's hard to
248-539-9797. I'm not making excuses for yesterday at all. It was an ass kicking. I'm just curious between these two stalwarts of the offensive line position. How much did the absence of Jonah Jackson and David Montgomery mean to this football team yesterday?
I think Montgomery is clearly a big loss. He's just that type of guy that, even when the run game's not great, he's still going to get you 4 or 5 yards.
And in pass protection.
In pass protection, he's going to be great. It's going to open up so much more in your offense, right? I mean, and Jonah Jackson, look, I thought yesterday, the Lions played really good last week against Tampa Bay, the offensive line. Now, I know a lot of people say, the run game stunk. We ran for 40 yards. That was more schematic in my mind. I mean, you got 8 guys blocking, you got 9 guys in the box. If the running back's not making that extra guy miss, it's a bad day, right? But I thought the offensive line played really well. I don't know if I really liked the flip-flop yesterday with Glasgow and Vaitai coming in. Now I have to go back and watch the film. I know that the sack early, I couldn't really tell, John, who was kind of to blame there on the offensive line. It looked like maybe a couple guys got split on a stunt. But
yeah, it was Vaitai. They got on different levels, and Frank and Vaitai got on different levels, and then Vaitai got picked off. They on the broadcast, I think they mentioned it was Vaitai, but that was a group effort sack.
Okay, right. Okay, yeah, I didn't want to blame anybody without seeing the replay, but I mean, sitting here after a loss, you could probably question a lot of things.
Oh, yeah.
Jonah is a really good player. I mean, he is. Is he one of your best 5 players on that offensive line? Absolutely. Are you better with him on the field? 100%. I don't know what that lineup looks like, though, with everybody healthy, because in my opinion, I think Graham Glasgow has been playing better at right guard. I do. I think he's been their best right guard this season. And
so when he comes back, Jonah plays left guard and Vaitai is your backup, right?
I think he should be.
I don't know. I mean, yesterday kind of gave us the inclination that, they like Vaitai at right guard. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not at practice every day. I don't know. I don't see these guys prepare. All I see is the game film and what happens on Sunday. And in my opinion, and John, I think you agree with me, I think when Glasgow and Jonah are healthy, they're 2 of your best 5 guys right now. So I don't know. We'll see what happens this week.
I think here's why they did what they did yesterday. They put Glasgow at left because Glasgow's had time throughout his career at both spots.
Yeah, he's familiar with all 3 spots on the interior.
And Vaitai, he's been your right guard. He hasn't moved. When he was in Philly, he played a little bit of tackle, but he's always been on that right side. So I don't think that they wanted to put him over there and keep Glasgow at right. But when Jonah comes back, certainly, obviously, he's your left guard, and then Glasgow should be your right guard.
Yeah, and that's what I think, too. I just don't think that's going to happen for some reason. But
we shall see.
We shall see. But I don't care what offensive line is playing. You throw the ball 53 times against that Baltimore defense, you're going to have hits. You're going to have sacks. I mean, Baltimore, I think, they showed on the big screen yesterday, 30 sacks throughout the first 7 games. I mean, that's an incredible pace. I think leading the league, at least top 2 or 3.
Oh, they're leading
because
the league.
That is an unreal statistic, and they come from everywhere. I mean, yesterday, saw a couple coming off the edge yesterday, right from corners and from safeties. It's a collective effort, the protection, and after a game like that, you can't really say anybody played great.
They have such great linebackers, with Queen and Roquan was really good yesterday, and their secondary. I mean, Kyle Hamilton's obviously pretty damn good. And they were playing without Marcus Williams, too.
Yeah.
I mean, so it's a really good football team.
It's one of those games where, you lost the cat and mouse when it comes to play caller, right? We've got plays designed for man coverage, and they're dropping back in zone, right? And that makes you delay an extra second as a quarterback, and sometimes that's all the defense needs to get home and be disruptive. So, I don't really know what else. The run game wasn't terrible. I mean, statistically, at least. I know early in the game you didn't really get much going, but I mean, when you're down 28-0, when you're down 3, 4, 5 scores, kind of hard to run the ball, So
they got a lot of garbage yards at the end.
Yeah, you did.
Gibbs' touchdown was nice.
It was. It was a good design, good play call. I mean, good to see him get in the end zone. I thought, was he extremely effective yesterday? Probably not, but did he take a step in the right direction? In my opinion, I think he did. I think there were a couple runs there where in the first couple games this year, we'd see him get the ball and just sprint to the sideline as fast as he could. Yesterday, there was one really nice play where he kind of let the pullers get in front of him. He let it develop a little bit. He was patient. That, for me, was encouraging because it's a step in the right direction. So I don't know. It sounds like Montgomery probably won't be back this week. I know when they described it last week, said probably a couple-week issue. Hopefully Gibbs gets another chance this Monday and continues to get better because I do think he got better yesterday. Now, the JMO connection, clearly still a work in progress. I mean, it just feels like – and look, they probably haven't had a ton of reps together, right? Jared Goff and Jameson Williams. I mean, that's something that – is it disappointing? Hell yeah, it's disappointing. You want to see him bring in at least half of those targets, right? He got targeted 6 times and came up
the last
empty.
one in the end zone, it's in his hands. I know he might have been saying he threw to the wrong shoulder. I don't care. You know, when the ball's in your hands, you have to catch it.
I get it, but I just feel like there hasn't been one simple throw and catch between those two guys, right? I mean, yes, you look at it and say, yeah, hit you in the hands, but then you look at it and say, well, he's got a 4-yard step, like just throw it on him in stride, right? Don't make him have to adjust to it and come back to the ball at his feet, right? So, I'm not blaming just one of them. I think it's just that connection is still not quite running at a high level. And, you know, for this offense to hit their full potential, that's going to be the connection that has to get better.
The good news is when you look at what's ahead, and I know we all love to play the schedule game, there's probably only 2 games where they won't be favored. And that's going to be at Dallas at the end of December and probably at LA against the Chargers. Other than that, they're going to be favored in every game. Worst case scenario, you're sitting there looking, unless something crazy happens like an injury to Goff, you know, they're going to go, win 7 more games? Worst case scenario, you think they're 12-5, pretty much.
Yeah, they should be.
Yes.
If you correct
right.
issues that happened yesterday. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, the question, is it fair to sit there and say, wait a second, they're 5-2, with the exception of Mahomes, and people can use asterisks or do whatever they want, but they beat Patrick Mahomes. The other quarterbacks they beat were Love, Ritter, Bryce Young, and Baker Mayfield, and they lost to the 2 legitimate running quarterbacks that they've played, Geno Smith and Lamar Jackson. Is that fair is it a fair criticism to say, well, they haven't beaten any good quarterbacks?
Yeah, sure, fair.
Okay.
Or you could also make the argument.
Just facts.
You could also make the argument that they did what they were supposed to do against those quarterbacks and made them look bad, you know? So if you're winning those games close, you know, and those bad quarterbacks are having good games against you and you pull out a field goal win at the end, you know what I mean? But they killed those teams. True. So I thought, you know, that's a sign of a good team. You do what you're supposed to do.
Absolutely. 248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Well, let's go. You know what? Let's go to Devin in Brighton here on 97 on the ticket. What's up, Devin?
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good.
It's good. I was at the game yesterday. I left at about 3:30. I got down to the game, and I'm of course, a Lions fan, but I'm a huge Lamar Jackson fan. And if you would have told me he would have played like that, I would have said, "There's no way he's going to throw 350 yards and do all that." And I was really stunned. And in the section I was sitting behind the Lions bench, and a lot of people were saying they were stunned too. They didn't think they were stunned because they thought the Lions. Well, they were stunned at Baltimore because they didn't think Baltimore was going to play like that. But a lot of people were saying though they want to see the Lions win. They're actually surprised, but a lot of people were in the section I was in. The Baltimore fans were saying they want to see the Lions win. So
they want to see the Lions win. Wait. Baltimore Raven fans were hoping the Lions would win the game yesterday, or just down the road?
Oh, down the road.
Okay.
There was because a lot of older fans was like, they haven't really done anything since Barry was there, and they're seeing how we finished the season last year, how we started this year. So they was just like, y'all still get the home playoff game, but really they were a lot of fans they were shocked at how the Ravens came out and played. I was shocked too because I watch them every Sunday, and I was just like, there's no way he's going to throw over 250 yards and 2 touchdowns, and I watch him every week because he hasn't really played good all year.
Now, when he's great, he's great, and when he has problems, you see the results. Now, a lot of times, statistically, they drop a lot of passes. They didn't drop many yesterday.
Well,
even Aguilar didn't drop a ball.
No, and a lot of them were short passes too. And like TJ was talking about earlier, and what disturbed me the most wasn't necessarily the defense. The defense didn't adjust, but we saw some things from the Baltimore offense that either hadn't been executed or that they were new wrinkles. And it was the read option and the little flip to, whether it was a running back or a wide receiver, but you thought Lamar was going to be running it. Those were at least new looks. Offensively, in terms of pass protection, there wasn't anything that was new. Like, it's not like Mike McDonald came up with some new way to blitz Jared Goff that he hadn't shown already. He brings corners, he brings safeties, he brings an extra guy, he overloads, drops guys, drops defensive linemen, and brings other individuals. That's where I was most disturbed. And if they are going to be that 12-win team, you're going to have to find ways to pick those blitzes up, to adjust to those, and not give up 5 sacks against a team that's good at putting pressure on the quarterback, but they're not that good.
Yeah, and defensively, you're going to have to start making some adjustments now because I think it's on film that your linebackers are very aggressive players. I mean, when they see run, they go get run. Like they're in the backfield, right? You got to be careful because we obviously know that when you're going play action game and your linebackers are sprinting up to line of scrimmage, there's a whole lot of room in that middle of the defense. And yesterday, that was extremely exposed. And, I mean, just – if you would have told me Lamar Jackson would have had 9 carries for 36 yards, I would have, before the game, I would have been like, damn, okay.
That's a win.
I feel pretty good.
Right.
I didn't know. Nobody knew he was going to throw for 350 plus.
Crazy.
It was just it's incredible, man. It just, like I said, when it rains, it pours, when it's going bad. And sometimes when you're on the positive side of that, it feels like anything you do is the perfect play call and everything's going to work. And that's how it was yesterday.
248-539-9797 is the telephone number. Coming up next, I have a question that we addressed a little bit with John. I want to get TJ's take on this as far as usage of players. 97 won the ticket.
Hey everyone, my family and I recently joined the YMCA of Metro Detroit, and I love what the Y has to offer. They've got indoor lap and family swimming. They've got group exercise classes, including strength training, yoga, and even Les Mills body pump classes, all part of my family membership. And what's even better is that my membership gives me access to all 7 of Metro Detroit YMCA locations. And hey, if you join the Y in October, you're going to get 25% off your first month. So you can learn more at ymcadetroit.org and find your Y today.
All right, TJ. I asked John about this, and he never has as big a problem with it as I do. And I wasn't the only one. We got callers yesterday and actually one today. When the team's getting blown out and you have injury situations, and definitely for the Lions, you have a situation, a quarterback where if he gets hurt, you're done for the season pretty much. Why is it necessary to have Jared Goff play the whole game and some of the other starters in there, midway through the fourth quarter when the game's a blowout?
It's not. We talked about it on the broadcast. I said, wouldn't be surprised to see Teddy Bridgewater in here pretty soon.
Yeah.
Because that is the one thing that can make this worse.
Right.
If you get somebody that's going down and, we just lost a quarterback in a 40-point game.
Right.
Not a good look, right? The only thing I could think of, and this has kind of been, the MO right now of Jared Goff is he's finishing the game no matter what, We saw it last year in Carolina. I mean, he was taking a beating in that game, and you're sitting there and you're like, get him out of there. And then you'd watch him come on the sideline, and he was like, you want me out of the game, you're going to have to literally drag me out of that huddle. No, so I get it. Like the coaches, it's supposed to be your responsibility, but I just think that these players, like win or lose, it's my game to play.
Right.
Right.
It's something about your sport, because we mentioned earlier, Tom Brady never would be pulled from a game, no matter how much they were winning by. I don't think Aaron did either, right? The backups never got the play.
A few times, but late.
Yeah. I mean, I don't understand it for the life of me, why you can't give some of the backups some reps.
I'm with you. I mean, you look at this, well, it's unique. I think John probably had the same opinion. I mean, you get the player's perspective and then you get the coach's perspective.
Right.
And if I were the coach, I'd say, I don't care, dude, let's lay it down, man, get you out of the game. That's one thing that could make this loss really, really painful if we lose you right now.
It was either Goff or Gibbs, and I'm not sitting here saying, hey, the rest of the season relies on Gibbs, but if you're not going to have Montgomery for a few weeks, you're better off with him than you are Craig Reynolds. And I love Craig Reynolds, but you've got certain guys at certain positions that you just want to make sure stay healthy. Yeah. And, hey, Gibbs is a rookie. I'm sure he didn't want to come out. You already talked about Goff and the fact that he doesn't want to come out.
Yeah.
But coach needs to say,
yeah. You got to make that decision sometime.
Yeah.
Right? St. Brown, Frank, Decker. I
Right.
mean, these are guys that you say, okay, I know you guys are already a little banged up anyways. It's kind of useless time, so to say.
Exactly.
As a player, you never feel like
I know the players.
You never feel like it's
will
useless time, though, right? You always feel like, and maybe it was because it's there's been absolutely nothing going good for us right now. Let's at least try to get one last drive in so we can hang our hat on something. Right? I don't know. I mean, not that it matters. It doesn't matter, but, I'm just trying to think of all the different players' perspectives of, why you'd want to hang in there. Maybe just we'll say, you know what, we're getting our ass beat. I'm not going to let anybody else come in here when I'm the one responsible for it. I'm going to see this thing through, and, if I'm going to get my ass beat, you're going to beat it completely and not just for 50 minutes. I'm not going to cop out and go sit on the bench while they beat somebody else's ass, too.
And the other simplistic thing is you guys just like playing football. I mean, you want to play.
Yeah, got all dressed up. Might as well do something.
Yeah. Sam and Ypsilanti are 97 on the ticket.
Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, Jared didn't come off because he has a C on his jersey. That's the only reason. But that's not why I called. The reason why I called is because the Ravens have, as part of their technique, their offensive line is holding every single play. And I'm not giving the Lions an excuse, but they could have been called for holding every play. And the only reason I called in is because one of you guys said that you're going to review the film. Look for that. It's like
we all review the film. I watched it last night, and they weren't holding any more than anybody else. That's not, to me, that was not something that was a gross oversight by the officials.
Yeah, if you're going to complain about holding, you should probably call a different show. Those two offensive linemen we're not going to sell out. We're not going to sell out offensive linemen. Now, my phone was blowing up at certain times yesterday. Like, what is going on? They're not calling anything. And I started watching it a little bit. Mm-hmm. Honestly, you gotta beat the guy if you're going to try to earn a holding call, right? There were so many like ticky tack ones where you're bull rushing. And yes, did the guy have his hands outside of the jersey? Yes. Is that an automatic hold? No, it's not. It's not holding unless you get your feet beat and now you drag somebody either back in front of you drag them down. Maybe I missed a couple. I didn't really see it as being a huge issue yesterday. It looked to me like our guys just couldn't get off blocks. And it doesn't matter. The fans have to understand, it doesn't matter where your hands are. They can be outside the jersey.
Yeah.
They can be on the shoulder, outside the shoulder pad. As long as your feet are in front of a defender, it is not a holding call. So I didn't really see it as an epidemic yesterday of, oh my goodness, our guys are getting mauled. Maybe I missed a couple. Did that make a difference in the game? I'm going to go ahead and say probably not.
Maybe people are upset because Sewell got called for holding twice that were legitimate holds.
Yeah, I saw the one which was a little bit weird. But I put that on Jared Goff. I do. And I think Jared Goff would tell you, I put that on me too. He saw pressure up the middle, and he immediately started rolling out of the pocket.
Right.
John, as a right tackle, you don't know that unless the quarterback tells you, hey, I'm going to sprint out a little bit. Now you can adjust your angle.
Yeah.
Penei Sewell's just over there pass blocking, and all of a sudden Goff goes sprinting out of the pocket. You don't know where the quarterback's going to be in that situation, so your hands are already set. You're expecting him to be over your left shoulder. Now when he's over your right shoulder, yes, you're going to get called for a holding. I don't put that on Penei Sewell, though. I put that on the quarterback.
So yesterday there was the second touchdown that Aguilar won. You know when Buggs was completely brought to the ground?
Yeah.
When I was watching that in real time, I actually shouted out, "Oh my gosh, holding." The caller asked you guys to look at the film. Go back, caller, and look at the film. I just watched the play, and this is where we are as fans. We just react to something, and sometimes you don't look at it a second time. The tackles or the guards, whoever it was for the Ravens, were inside Buggs' shoulders the entire time, and he pushed him to the ground. He physically dominated him.
Yeah.
He didn't hold him.
Yeah.
But when I watched that at the beginning, like for the first time, I was like, holding.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of fans are like that too.
This is why I don't watch football games with Tom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You don't watch it.
You just
don't
did
watch
the
it with
whole
anyone.
where you should have gotten the siren where you said, you're talking to two offensive linemen here.
Right,
You are talking.
No, but we're not
We're
not going to bitch about holding calls.
Exactly.
We're not going to do that.
Exactly. You were right to say that. Yeah. I'm just a dumb fan.
No, I'm not saying that.
I say that all the time.
I just think they're. And you know what? Honestly,
Stop it! He's holding.
You're right. It's like it's the whiniest thing in football. I mean, it's like the one excuse, like, oh, we're getting held. It's like, come on, and I think honestly, there's a lot of announcers out there that can help out with the holding calls as well, right? Because offensive linemen, we see it as a different way. We see it as, no, that's just a hell of a block, man. He's got his feet in front of you. And you see announcers where it doesn't matter. It could be the worst holding call in the world, and the announcers will be like, oh, yep, he touched him. Yep, he grabbed him. And it's like, no, what are you looking at, right? So I got an issue.
There was one
with some of the announcers.
No call yesterday, and it was the Beckham helmet to helmet.
Right.
That should have been called.
On a scramble, there was a play where
where he knocked out Joseph.
Okay,
It was the
late in the game.
The offensive player leading with his head, which rarely gets called, but they're supposed to be enforcing that.
Okay, I missed that one. I'll have to go back and watch it. But there was another one, I think it was a third down early in the game, where Lamar scrambled and he kind of went out by the Lions sideline. And I think it might have been one of the running backs came back and peel blocked a guy and lit somebody up.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that.
Right.
Like that is I think it's, what is it called now, Jeff? You used to be able to do it. It used to be one of the highlight blocks you see.
Yeah,
crackback block.
peel back.
You can't
You
do that.
any of those.
And I saw it live, and I was like, whoa, like that's got to be a flag because they're cracking down on this thing in the last couple of years. Like I said, I mean, I don't know if anybody else noticed it. I thought maybe that was the one call that I saw live that I said, okay, that looked like a penalty to me, and that would have been probably a big penalty because I think that was a 7-0 game at that point on a third down. Maybe you get off the field. You know what I mean? Maybe it changes a little bit.
Last thing for me, did you see Connor Stallions there? Because Mike McDonald was there, and so was a Harbaugh.
No, I mean, Connor Stallions would have been there a couple of weeks ago.
Right.
Pre-scouting.
Yes.
Exactly.
At Tampa last
He was
week.
working. He worked
yeah.
for John Harbaugh too. He did everything.
Yeah, he was.
There it was.
Yeah, he was watching the Seattle game a couple weeks ago.
248-539-9797.
Hey, a couple of years ago, I was faced with the question by one of my kids, and that was, Dad, what would we ever do without you? And I love the question, but I also had to look in the mirror and think, you know what? I was a good 70 pounds overweight, and I still got some work to do, but I've lost almost 60 pounds at this point, and I was down 50 pounds in 40 days. And the company I called to do it and make it possible is Ideal You. And all I did was change how I ate. I changed how I viewed food, how I viewed how food affected me. And they're going to sit down with a weight loss coach and teach you what you need to eat and drink to lose weight. And the best thing about it is it's not shakes, it's not potions. It's something that you can live with the rest of your life. Like I mentioned, 2 years ago, and I'm down just a little bit over 60 pounds. If you want to change your life, go to idealu.us right now and schedule your free consultation. You could be down 20, 30, or even 40 pounds lighter by Thanksgiving. Ideal U has helped thousands of people. I'm one of the thousands. They can help you as well. All you got to do is go to idealu.us.
248-539-9797. Dante in New Baltimore. What's up, Dante?
Hey, my question's for the two offensive linemen. So, obviously, you can see if everything's not firing on all cylinders for Goff, like when we don't have that juggernaut running back getting us 3-5 yards per series, per downs, it kind of throws things off. Do you guys notice when you have a bigger running back pounding that defensive line, do guys get tired on that D-line having to obviously go up against you guys and then take the hit from the running back as well on tackles? Like, my main question is, at this trade deadline, do we go after, I know Montgomery's supposed to be back, but do we go after another, like, head-hitting fullback, running back that can, like, bring all the pieces back together? Because it seemed like it threw everything off yesterday, not having a juggernaut back there.
I actually think it's probably more exhausting when you're tracing down one of those scat backs and it's sideline to sidelines and you're asking the defensive lineman to, pursue. It's one thing to be pounded on by offensive linemen, and yes, we'll wear on you, but I don't necessarily know that, whether it's, a big back or a little back, running downhill makes that much of a difference. It's when you've got to get outside the tackles, and now all of a sudden they counter that with pounding you down the middle.
Yeah, I think the running back like a Montgomery can wear you out in the fourth quarter, right? Like that's where you start getting frustrated, I think, as a defensive lineman where, man, we're doing a good job, but he's still getting 4 or 5 yards, right? And then the fourth quarter comes around, and, man, some of those 4 or 5 yards are now turning into 8, 9, and 10. I think that's where the physical style of running back that, quite frankly, this offense needs really starts to wear teams out. So to go after somebody, I mean, I don't know. I guess it depends on how they feel about Dave Montgomery, right? I mean, last week we heard it was going to be a couple-week issue. I mean, I would be surprised to see him this week based off of what they said publicly. But is he a guy that you feel like can be back to 100% when you come out of the bye in a couple weeks against the Chargers? Then you have to factor that in the decision if you want to go get anybody else.
Because it sounds like Cook may be available. I mean, he's older up there. He's like up there like Henry too. Like,
Cook, I can't see the Jets trading Cook. They just got him, right?
I saw a report that said he was available.
Oh, good.
Yeah. I mean, they're barely using him. I know they had a bye with this week.
Yes. Breece Hall's been really good. All right, what's the maddest you guys have ever been with a reporter after the game, or when you use your, not at the particular reporter, but, where you maybe said words you shouldn't have said? Do you ever have an instance? Because you guys are really good guys.
To the media?
Yeah. Or like frustration after a loss. Not that you were...
I don't know.
Sure, I did. I can't off the top of my head.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I was pretty pissed after the 2014 NFC Championship game when we didn't get an onside kick. And lost. I was pretty pissed. But.
I want you to listen to Washington Commanders defensive lineman Jonathan Allen, because the Commanders lost to the New York Giants. And, he was a little upset. I think he cursed 12 times in 14 seconds.
I don't even know what he said.
You got to look at try to find the unbleeped version.
I thought it was the 1 o'clock emergency warning.
It is classic.
Goodness. Don't think I've ever been that upset.
Yeah.
No. But here's the difference: is offensive linemen have a much a bigger vocabulary.
Oh, of course,
we don't
the
have to
offensive linemen
rely
are mostly
on those 4-letter
smartest
words.
guys in the
So I mean,
team.
we're much more composed as well.
Don't you feel like that's starting to become a little bit more common? Guys kind of venting like this. Devontae Adams, wasn't he doing it? Recently, and that's starting to become a little more common. And look, I love it as a fan perspective because you want to see these guys. True character. You want to see them bothered by things when they're not going right.
Yeah.
Right. You don't really. The guy that just sits up there, we'll go back to work. I mean, that's who I was. I mean, I was boring, on purpose. I didn't want to give him anything.
There were a lot of offensive linemen who didn't like. Who was the guy in Denver years ago who wouldn't talk? Like the whole Broncos offensive line wouldn't talk.
Yeah,
for a while.
Well, Garrett
No,
Bowles,
he'll
Garrett
talk.
Bowles, another guy. You
Yeah.
know, a couple weeks ago. I mean, he was a guy who made kind of headlines, kind of
Yes.
saying the same thing. You know,
Yeah.
I'm kind of sick of this, and it's been same stuff. You know, for 5 years now, and I don't know. I kind of appreciate it. I mean, you see the passion. I guess you'd like to see the passion on the field, but it's good to know that the players at least care off the field as well too.
Where did you view the ass kicking on Saturday?
We were at dinner, kind of watching it on the phones, and had it on at the bar, and it was a fun Saturday night. Yeah,
Yeah.
Just
Not one that you had to watch too long.
I mean, what could have been though, John? I mean, if they didn't know that, Katin Hauser was going to be so bad. I mean,
Those signals.
yeah, that's just who knows. But yeah, that was went about as expected, I think, for most of us. Stoney, it sounded like you
I
talked yourself into maybe.
Yeah,
Michigan
that
State
it was going to be
being
close. That it was going to be
decent.
close.
Yeah, the 24.5 point spread.
Yeah, and it went up to 25.5 on Saturday, and that's why that sucked me in.
Oh, man.
I just love the circles that certain Sparties kind of take, like, the whole Mel Tucker thing when that we didn't really believe in him anyways. And now the Katin Hauser, he stinks, and like, well, really, 6 weeks ago, you guys were raving about this 4-star quarterback you had. And I don't want to pile on.
I know.
It was ugly enough on Saturday.
Look, whenever they get the new coach, hopefully they'll get their act together, but it is just, I don't know where they go from
It
here.
looks like a massive kind of rebuild, doesn't it? I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't watch much Michigan State right now because they're just hard to watch. But do they have anything you can hang your hand? I know the landscape of college football is different.
Yes.
Certainly, if you get a big name coach, I mean, we saw it this year with Deion Sanders, right, going to Colorado. I know they've kind of come back to reality a little bit, but you see what it does as far as utilizing the portal and bringing in a couple big name guys. I mean, that's
so when Urban gets there. I mean,
I think that's easy.
But the NCAA has made it easier for a program like Michigan
Yes.
State because there's no limit on the number of scholarships or that you can give away in the year now.
Yeah.
I mean, you're only limited by the total number of scholarships, which is 85. So you can go out there. It used to be, I forget what it was, 22 or 23. And now it doesn't matter how many, whether it's freshmen coming out of high school or transfers, you're not limited in the number per year that you can give out.
Yeah, and you can expedite that rebuild in college football now.
Yeah.
By going and getting those transfer portal guys, because we know there's hundreds, if not thousands of them every single year that are looking for a new
all
team.
you need is one running back.
Yeah.
That's true.
One
It
quarterback.
worked last time,
One
but
player.
they also had a decent quarterback back then. They have to get a quarterback. And what I saw Saturday looked like Levitt was better than Hauser. Now, granted, it was mop-up time, but
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be a while unless they get that magical coach like we talked about. And as far as Michigan goes, they just get better every week.
Yeah.
I just can't
Keep
wait
taking
till
care
they
of
play
business.
Penn State.
Yeah. And it was good to see that, I don't know, John. I haven't even really talked about the whole breaking news that came out last week. I don't know if anything's going to come out of that. I would imagine the NCAA's got it after Harbaugh so bad. If they wanted to get him, it would happen sooner than later. I think the longer this thing plays out, probably the least amount of evidence or anything that they have. But Harbaugh's kind of brought this on himself
to
a
do
little bit.
anything quickly is
Look how long it took the Bill
that's-
Self thing, and he ended up
Well,
4
what about
years.
the
and then
receiver, the kid? I can't. God,
kid
the
from
name
North
slipped my mind.
Carolina.
Yeah, the receiver who was out for ridiculous,
Yeah.
like
Then-
just
Walker.
got back
then
playing.
he
Yeah,
came
Wes
back.
Walker.
Yes. All right.
But they've got it out for Harbaugh, so if they want to get him, they're going to do it.
Carson
We're gonna do it
Anderson
now.
are next.
I just got to tell a Stoney story. And while Stoney's here, because this was classic. So I was in here talking to John earlier during a commercial break, and Stoney got all excited because the kid from Ottawa is from Whitefish, Montana.
Right.
The defenseman, which is that's my retirement spot.
Yeah.
And I love
I
Whitefish.
think that's the right guy, right?
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, yeah, he was early draft pick a couple years ago. Yeah, I know him. And on my way out the door, Stoney says, they should have drafted him instead of Raymond. And I'm like, there you go. There it is. That's Stoney. Always should have got Guy. Should have got Guy.
I know.
It always comes back to that. So.
Yes.
Obviously,
Well,
tons to talk about today,
yes.
Champ and Chomp.
Gator, I mean, at one point yesterday, your two teams were down 84-0. I was feeling for you guys.
That's your Monday. That's your Monday, Gator. That's good till now.
It just got better.
Carson Anderson are next, 97 on the ticket.
All right, good Monday, everybody. Carson Anderson, 97 won a ticket. So the Lions game obviously was what it was, Gator. And we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Obviously, Michigan State. Hey, those Red Wings. Red Wings,
my Red Wings.
The best team in hockey right now.
Hey, man, when you look at the statistics and you see that the Wings are, top of the NHL with the 10 points, and then you look at the individual scoring, and you're gonna see, okay, where are McDavid and Draisaitl? Because those Edmonton players are unbelievable, right? And then you look north of that to find DeBrincat and Larkin, who now sit numbers 1 and 2 in the NHL scoring at this point.
Though, when you've got 2 talented players and 3 talented players, that line with Raymond, DeBrincat, and Larkin, when you've played all those years together. Anyway, great start for them. But Lions are.
We'll get back to the Wings at some point.
Well, let me just say this, because in a time of crisis, right? When you clearly hit adversity, when things look awful, and they did, there's a proverb that I lean on.
Oh, wow.
That came from a great philosopher. And I think some people have heard it.
I hope it's the proverb I know.
Is it yuck, throw it in the garbage?
Well, there's that.
Because that's where I'm at. Just yuck, throw it in the garbage. And stuff like this happens. And the reason I'm yuck, throw it in the garbage, and by that, I just kind of dismiss it. It is what it is. Throw it in the garbage. On to the next one.
Move past it as quickly as you can.
And the reason why I don't think this is alert is because there's far more data points to tell us that this is a good football team. You spend 9 months in the offseason looking at what they've done, and you come out of that going, that's a good football team that they're going to field this year. And then they do what they've done through the first 6 games. And again, overwhelming data points that it's a good football team. And then you get this one. And it looked terrible. There's really not much good that came out of it.
No, I mean, I always try to find something good that comes out of it. And the only good I saw that came out of it was Jahmyr Gibbs. That Jahmyr Gibbs played outstanding. He ran hard, asked him to run between the tackles. He did. He caught a bunch of passes. He caught 9 passes out of 10 targets. He ran for 68 yards on 11 carries. I like what I saw from Jahmyr Gibbs when they were calling on him. Hey, we need you to step up. And he was ready to step up. The problem was that when you go 3 and out 3 straight times to start the game and you find yourself down 21-0, and then quickly it becomes 28-0 before you even get a first down. It's unbelievable. Nobody expected this. And we're all in shock that it started off this badly for the Lions. Their answers there, yeah, the pie of blame is huge. Mm-hmm. And it points to every player on that team, every coach on that staff. There's a ton of it. Before you get to the other stuff that people complain about, don't worry about the elements. Don't worry about officiating. None of that mattered. What mattered was what happened on the field, that the team just didn't show up, offense or defense. And that's what's disappointing, is that it was no answer for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson was spectacular, and he showed you how he has matured as a player. And in a way, I want to liken it a little bit to J.J. McCarthy and what he has done to mature as a player. Used to be J.J. would get out, flush out of the pocket, and he would take off and run. Now, as you saw Saturday night, and he was brilliant at it, and he's done it this season. It's not just Saturday night. If he gets flushed out of the pocket, he's running, but he's running laterally. He's running to extend the play, to allow his receivers to get open, and then he took advantage. Lamar Jackson has done that in his career, and people ignore it. He's been spectacular as a quarterback in buying extra time and then taking off and going when he has to. The difference with Lamar Jackson, the game on yesterday, compared to maybe what we've seen in the past, and Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there were many planned running plays specifically for Lamar where they have been in the past. I mean, he's been a big-time runner in the league, and they've called his number, said, okay, quarterback run to the right, whatever it is. We didn't see it yesterday. He didn't have to. He just sat there in the pocket, a little shimmy shake here, a little shimmy shake there, and the Lions couldn't get to him no matter what. And he ended up extending plays to have 6, 7, 8, 10 seconds before he finally released the football or decided to take off running.
Yeah, they only had a couple design runs yesterday. The fourth down where he ran in for a touchdown early on, I think it was the first score. That was a design run. But other than that, they obviously invested a lot of money into him this offseason, right, guys? So they're protecting their investment because they know he can throw the ball. They know he has legs and he's dynamic. They'll use it when they have to. But, yeah, they're keeping him safe.
Is this alert or is this yuck, throw it in the garbage? Is this something that you just dismiss as a one-off? It's not great. Like, even I'm not going to sit here and tell you what happened was great. It was awful. But I'm not wavering from my belief that the Lions are still a very good football team.
Oh, they're definitely still a good football team.
To be clear, though, at no point did you or I or Kang or anybody think they're infallible. And I mean, I didn't pick them to win this game, but my reasoning wasn't exactly super insightful. It was like, if I don't pick them to lose this game, I don't know if I can pick them to lose the rest of the way. And then they're going to lose. They're going to lose.
Yeah, I didn't get chesty till the end of the week on the team.
And
then when I did.
Oh, you got chesty, but that's fine. But here's the thing is I know we're going to get this call and I understand it. And it's going to be, for me, who just dismisses this, Doug, it's not that they lost, it's how they lost. Because how they lost was about as ugly as it could be.
Yeah, that was an ugly loss.
It
was an ugly loss to a good football team.
When you're investing and you're investing wisely and smart and you're slowly building up this, this huge amount of funds, and then you take a massive loss, it doesn't feel like you're the smartest investor in the room after the massive loss. Even though your track record is you invest very well and you're making gains and strides forward, that massive loss can rattle you. I don't like telling people how to feel. I'm telling you why I'm not rattled by that yesterday.
Well, Gator got humbled. I got humbled near the end of the week. The Lions definitely got humbled. They got their teeth kicked in. The difference is, Doug, they had a bad game. They're not a bad team, and there's a big difference.
Well, I'm interested to how Detroiters are processing what they saw, because what they saw, it wasn't easy on the eyes. 248-539-9797. Hey, jump into NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel, when they place a $5 bet on the NBA. That way, you can watch all the action as you bet on everything from point spreads to player props. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So don't miss out on your chance to get $200 in bonus bets, plus 3 months NBA League Pass. Just visit FanDuel.com/Doug and tip off the NBA season right. FanDuel, official partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problems? Call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply. So weird to look at a team that can look so good at times and then looks that bad. That it's kind of hard to process as just part of the normal ebb and flow of an NFL season. But I am not wavering, Gator. I still think it's a very good football team. Are you wavering? You're good?
I'm good, but I have some concerns that I had going into the game. And I think it further enhanced it. These are, I think, a legitimate concern. I don't think they have enough of a pass rush.
248-539-9797. Let's get to your phone calls. We go to Joe. You're on 97 on the ticket. What's up, Joe?
Hey, guys. Good football team, no question. Does one game make a season? Definitely not. But I can't recall in recent years a championship football team that took a loss like that, got beat from the beginning to the end. We had a chance to even, come out in the second half with the ball and try to at least turn it around. Maybe not win the game and maybe not come back, but it's not a championship team. I think it's an uh-oh moment if we're thinking they're winning the Super Bowl this year. But I didn't see it.
Well, I'm going to have to go back and look. I know that everybody's citing like previous Lions teams, and specifically the previous Lion team that won a playoff game, that won the division, that killed Dallas, had a couple of games like this, their opener and their midway point.
Yeah, they lost 45-0 to the Redskins to start the season. And then they also lost 35-3 at San Francisco to drop to, coincidentally, 5-2.
But his definition too, though, was championship football team. That team was a division winner.
They're a good team.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a good team. Could they win the division? Sure.
Well, so
is this team right now going to win a championship as we're all getting all excited? I don't see that.
Here's a comparison you can make. Last year, there was a team that won the division that when they lost, they look awful. The Minnesota Vikings.
Yeah.
And you don't want to be the Vikings. Obviously, you don't want to be the Vikings. But there were some bad losses last year for teams like Philly and Kansas City, but not ones that were blowouts.
In 2020, the year the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won the Super Bowl, they lost 38-3 during the regular season to the Saints, okay?
Yep.
And I know they had Tom Brady. I get that. But I'm just saying, yes, a team has been blown out during the regular season before and gone on to win the Super Bowl. Sometimes stinkers happen. Sometimes it is yuck, throw it in the garbage.
Last year, late in the year, Philadelphia lost to the New Orleans Saints, who are a below 500 team. Like, stuff can happen, but this was, on the scoreboard, this was bad. But as you pointed out, it has happened before. It can rattle you. My man is off the Super Bowl bandwagon. Let's go to Joe. You're on 97 on the ticket. What's up, Joe?
Hey, good morning.
Hey.
I consider this a one-off, and I also look at it as a positive in a way because trade deadline's coming up. We obviously have a couple holes we need to assess, and now's a good time to kind of maybe put a little more heat on Holmes, or he's going to put more heat on himself to maybe make a deal that he wasn't necessarily going to make. And I look at it as a positive. We won 3 or 4 games on the road. What's hard to win on the road in the NFL? We still got a road-winning record. So, yeah, that was a dumpster fire. It was awful. Ruined my day. But whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, it was actually tough to watch. I mean, it was literally can I bail on this? Do I need to watch this?
Well, I've lost my bet pretty darn fast, so that's for sure.
Yeah.
I should have live bet the Ravens immediately.
I reached out to somebody who, one of the media people on Friday's show, because somebody had brought up James Houston. When's James Houston going to come back and look back at the injury and to see how far away he would have been? And the response I got was 4 to 6 weeks, but it's pure
4 to 6 more?
Yeah, 4 to 6 more, which is pure speculation on his part, which is fine. But it's just a baseline to try to get an idea of how much longer you're going to be without your second best pass rusher. But the caller brings it up. Do they need to rethink this? And I don't know if it's rethinking. I think it's just more consideration put into it. I think they should already have been thinking about it. And with 8 days left, I think it's going to be a big topic of conversation.
248-539-9797. Is this an alert? Or is this just a yuck, throw it in the garbage, one-off, dismiss it? We go to Trevor. You're next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Trevor.
Hey, what's going on? How you guys doing?
Okay.
All right, Trev.
I think they're still a good team. I think yesterday's loss is probably going to sit with them. They're probably, thinking they don't want to feel that again. So I think it's just a one-off. But it just seemed like yesterday Goff just wasn't in his rhythm. I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time he threw the ball, it seemed like he couldn't throw a spiral. It looked like my grandma threw the ball.
Yeah, there were issues definitely with throwing the football. We'll ask him about it tomorrow, how the elements played a role in it. But there was that. There was the fact that he was under duress for, half of his dropbacks. It seemed that he was under pressure of some kind. He was sacked 5 times. I mean, he fumbled the ball twice, didn't lose the fumbles, but he fumbled it twice. And again, another one that was just kind of shuffling in his hand. I mean, he was getting hit from all over the place. And then when he did have time to throw, the ball wasn't delivered very well.
Yeah, it just looked like it was just spinning forward. Like, I don't
fluttered.
even know.
I mean,
it looked like
he completed
like
one
he was
pass.
hungover or something out there.
He completed one pass downfield late in the game. It was like a 20-yard completion. I think it may have been to Raymond. And it was just a complete flutter ball. And yet it got to where it needed to get. I don't know how it went that way, but it was just a difficult day for him for sure. But Lamar Jackson didn't have that difficulty.
He didn't look good. I mean, he just didn't look good. Yeah. And again, unless you're going to tell me he's hurt, which would be more alarming, I'm dismissing it as a one-off. There's so many really good Jared Goff performances mixed in.
Oh, yeah.
But there's so many really good performances by the offensive line that
this feels like this is a one-off.
It was such an utter collapse that I don't know that there's a logical football explanation for this, because as much and I don't want to take credit away from Baltimore. I mean, I don't really care if we do or don't, I guess, but we should credit Baltimore. Lamar Jackson was spectacular. He was spectacular.
Well,
and he's capable of that.
The thing that was, I guess, most concerning to me is looking at this game and seeing that it was a complete regression, which leads me to believe that this is a yuck, throw it in the garbage game.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason, they weren't ready to play yesterday. They weren't, because what they've done well this year, they couldn't do. They couldn't stop the run. They ran for 146 yards and over 5 yards per carry average, and it wasn't Lamar Jackson scampering for 50 yards at a time. This was Gus Edwards grinding it out. This was Justice Hill getting big yardage. Like, how the hell who are you and why are you running 8 yards past the line of scrimmage? There was that. There was the Lions have been covering the tight end very well. Well, how'd that work yesterday? Not so much. I mean, Mark Andrews got him, and other players got they threw to the big fullback, for crying out loud. That's always embarrassing when you see the big guy rumbling down the sidelines. They just couldn't make the plays. And then they break that 80-yard screen pass to Gus Edwards, and there's nobody in the picture except for John Kaminsky giving it his all. But, I mean, you're not going to catch up to him. And then finally a defensive back gets there and stops it from being a touchdown. But it goes 80 yards. I mean, these are things that are not what we've seen this year. This is a good Baltimore Ravens football team that's starting to hit their stride a little bit. This is a bump in the road for the Lions. How do they respond? Both teams are 5-2. Both are still very good football teams. I think the Lions are a different team at home than they are on the road. Jared Goff is certainly, as a quarterback, he's been better on the road this year than what he's shown in the splits throughout his career as a Lion. But yesterday was another one of those step back days. You know, statistically, you can look at it. Hey, 284 yards passing. He only threw the one pick, and no, it wasn't good. And he'll admit it. I'm sure he'll talk to us tomorrow, and he'll say it was not a good game for him. There were some decent individual performances, but doesn't matter because 38-6 was the number. And there's a lot to digest of what happened yesterday, and a lot of head scratching things that happened there too.
Our Champ and Chump nominations at 10:35. Carson Anderson, 97.1. was a disaster. It was a 60-minute disaster. 248-539-9797. Now, again, zoom out. I still think they're a good football team. I'm just going to write this one off. But some people might see it as an alert. Are alarm bells ringing in your head, people? Or do you just dismiss it? It's a one-off. 248-539-9797.
You know why I think it's a one-off? Did one player play well yesterday? I mean, St. Brown dropped a couple passes. I'm not sure what he got charged with, but Amon-Ra St. Brown dropped a couple passes. Penei Sewell was getting called for holding. No one played a good game. Goff, who's been great all year, I mean, just looked
I just
awful.
thought Gibbs. I thought Gibbs was better.
Maybe Gibbs, yeah. But even then, was it because, the defense was laying off a little bit? I mean, he still only had like 68 yards rushing, right? It's not like he...
Yeah, but he only carried it 11 times.
Yeah, exactly. So it's... I don't know. Other than Gibbs, maybe. I feel like the whole team was trash.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Robert. You're on 97 on the ticket. What's up, Robert?
How you guys doing this morning?
Good.
Good. I was there yesterday, and it was a painful watch how out of control it got so quickly. It was just, and I'm hanging out in lot H and a couple other lots. Man, Lion fans came out. We were all pumped up and, fist bumping each other, and people were really, really excited. And, a decent showing, I think, in the crowds from Honolulu Blue and everything. But I think the takeaways from this, I think for the offense, they've proven that they're good enough, and it was just a crap day. Just flush it. But I think for the defense, I think this is the second time now they faced a mobile quarterback. Not necessarily, and I don't mean, when I say mobile, I don't mean necessarily the running part, but just able to move in the pocket very well. Geno Smith and now Lamar. I think this confirms. I'm sorry, and Mahomes as well, yeah. I think this confirms that they need to improve the pass rush, and they also need to improve the back end somewhere. Whether, with Mosley being out and everything like that.
Well, and Jerry Jacobs didn't play.
Yeah, Jerry Jacobs didn't play. I mean, so I think for the offense, I think there's enough proof there, a longer track record that yes, it's an explosive offense, and they just had an off day. But man, I think the defense. I think those are the two weaknesses. I mean, Hutch played okay, I think, but
he got stymied. I mean, he would, and I think he was also a little confused. It's because that's what Lamar Jackson can do to you. You think all right, if I get the offensive lineman beat. Now I got a beat on the quarterback, but then he spins one way and you're completely out of it. And if you're not getting help from another pass rusher, then it's not going anywhere. And it was, you're right. It was an abject failure on all parts, on offense and defense. And when I look at the numbers, look back at my notes, it was 325 yards in total offense for the Ravens in the first quarter and a half. So with 7 minutes and something to go, they had 325 yards in offense. The rest of the game, so the next 2.5 quarters for the Ravens, if you take away the 80-yard pass play to Gus Edwards, they had 100 yards. Now, is that because they took the foot off the gas and they just run things out? Part of it. I think part of it is also that the Lions decided to play some football and at least move the ball down the field. Now, they didn't end up with points. Because at this point they're going for it on the fourth down and long, and they're just trying to get touchdowns rather than playing normal football at that point because they're playing such ridiculous catch up. But that's what was missing for the first part of the game. If you can't get a first down, like the Lions did, and then you've given up touchdown drives every time. I mean, here's John Harbaugh. Give him credit. Wins the toss. What does he do? Give me the damn ball. Mm-hmm. And they march down the field and they score like that. And then they get the ball back because their defense gives it back on 3 and out. Then they score like that. Defense gets it back, 3 and out, score like that. Defense gets it back, 3 and out, score like that. I mean, it was ridiculous. I mean, that is a drubbing of epic proportions. And what do you do at that point? And now you're like, okay, I guess we got to just throw it constantly. And they get away from the game plan of what's supposed to make this offense great. You're supposed to have the threat of a run. And at this point, you've given up on the run. And now it's just everybody go after the quarterback.
All right, let's get to our Champ and Chump nominations before we get back to your phone calls. 248-539-9797. Gator My Champ of the weekend is J.J. McCarthy, quarterback Michigan. They've got the week off. They play Purdue. After that, I think he should start the Purdue game.
You think so? Or the Penn State game?
They got Purdue first.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned Purdue. All right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got Lamar Jackson. Hard not to. I mean, J.J. McCarthy's a great call. Lamar Jackson threw for 357 yards, had the 4 total touchdowns in the game. He was flawless. His QBR for the game was 95. His quarterback rating was 155. It was ridiculously great, and that's the MVP Lamar Jackson we've seen before.
My jump is the Lions defense. 4 possessions, 4 touchdowns. They've been so good all year. We've praised you. It's a one-off. I don't hate you guys. I love you guys. I think you're going to be fine. Might need some tweaking. Might need some additional personnel. For the most part, this defense has been very good. Yesterday was extraordinarily tough to watch as they provided little resistance. Credit Lamar Jackson. Thankfully, he's not on the schedule the rest of the way.
Yeah, for me, it goes to Saturday and also what we saw Sunday, and that is offensive coordinators who give up on the run when you need to get your defense a rest. Saturday night, Michigan State desperately needed a rest and needed to keep the defense off the field, and they just kept trying to throw the football and incomplete passes, stop the clock the whole bit, just makes it bad. Same thing happened yesterday with the Lions. They go 3 and out in 3 straight drives, not even trying to run the football. And I guess you don't even have enough downs to, but you got to get your defense a rest. And neither team could do it, and I blame it on the coordinators.
248-539-9797. Get your champ and chump votes in. Let's get back to your open line calls. We've got Wassam next here on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Wassam?
Fellas, how you doing?
Okay.
So I'm a bit frustrated. I'm angry. Really ticked off. I don't think I've ever been that angry watching the Lions play.
Really?
I expected them to put a good game. This was their opportunity again. You're playing a great team. You want to show up and you want to put up a fight. And they were not prepared. I agree with you guys. They were not prepared at all. I mean, give credit to the Harbaugh. I mean, he masterfully came up with a great game plan, being aggressive, going for it on 4th down. I think that just threw the Lions off right away, and they were never able to recover. And I just got really angry and frustrated. I even told my wife, I said, man, I need to get out and just cool down a little bit. I can't believe I'm this angry.
You were worked up, huh?
I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. So I stopped watching it in 3rd quarter, just to kind of not ruin the whole day.
Gator, everybody's different, right? And for him, that he's never been more angry at the Lions.
Well, I understand.
I've been way more angry at the Lions.
I have too, but I understand why he is, and I think it's because Wassam, you're invested. You got invested in this team this year. You were expecting, okay, love to watch this. Here's a big test. Let's see how we step up on the big stage against a good team. And they fell completely flat. Didn't get a first down until it was 28-0.
Right. And not only that. Yeah, not only that. I mean, everyone looked off. The coaching staff, they didn't know how to respond. I mean, everything was just completely off.
Yeah.
They looked like a JV team. They didn't look like a professional football team.
I think it was Aaron Andrews that had the sideline report that Alex Anzalone came to the sideline and Aaron Glenn is like yelling, like, what the hell's going on out there? And Anzalone just kind of shrugged, put his hands up and he's like, I don't know. And look, that's not an indictment on Anzalone. I think that's just an indictment of what was going on yesterday. It was a blitzkrieg for what was going. They couldn't handle it.
We got Sean next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Sean.
What's going on, boys? How we doing this morning?
Okay.
All right, Sean.
Hey, I'm 75% throw it in the trash and 25% alarmed. They looked beat up yesterday. I think that Tampa game took something out of them. Yeah, they went and won it, and then they just came in. They were a step slow yesterday, and that's what happens. I think they've got some injury issues. That's where my 25% on the alarms go. They're beat up a little bit. They've got a lot of injuries, especially in the secondary. I said the bye week I think is coming at a perfect time for them, and I said I'm still involved. I'm still ready to roll with them. But I said that's kind of where I'm at. I said a couple more injuries. I said, and then alarm bells are really, really going off for me.
They're not on the bye week, right?
No, they played Oakland, Vegas this week, and then they go on the bye.
Right,
yeah.
But I said they're coming home and then they get the bye.
Okay.
So that's what I meant with it.
Gotcha. All right. Just to be clear. I didn't want to misinterpret that. Yeah, I mean, look, earlier in the show, Gator, you mentioned Jerry Jacobs was out. They were not Jerry Jacobs away from winning this football game. I do wonder if eventually kind of some of that stuff caught up to them. Like they had managed without a lot of players, but it feels like it kind of caught up to them finally.
Well, if it catches up to you, I expect the game to be a little closer then. This was a total blowout. I mean, this was non-competitive for a full half of football. They weren't competitive. They didn't get up and show any fight offensively until they were down 28-0. They get the first down. They get another first down, but then they find themselves in a 4th and long situation. They're going for it. They don't get it, and it's they needed it so badly at that point in the game just to show a puncher's chance. If they had scored, then they get the ball back because of the turnover. And if they were able to score at the end of the first half, get on the drive where they stalled on 4th down, then maybe they could have scored again before the first half, made it 28-14 to get the ball back first to start the second half.
Well, that was the path.
Yeah, trying to find that path, and it never got there.
Nope.
It's like a horror movie where you're running in the woods in the dark, and then you trip over a stump or a fallen branch.
Well, that's why I'm throw it away in the garbage, because how many times is this going to happen where the entire team plays terribly?
Yeah.
The entire team. That just can't happen.
Such an outlier.
Right? Yeah.
It's such an outlier.
Except for Jack Fox.
Coming up today at 11:05, this game may tell us exactly what the Lions absolutely need and what they should shoot for. We'll get to that today at 11:05. Hey, Hall Financial, the mortgage lender that saved Michigan residents millions, now has an exclusive no-fee home loan. Whether you're purchasing a new home or refinancing, the no-fee home loan is undeniably the most cost-effective home loan in Michigan. This brand new mortgage option will save you thousands of dollars in closing costs you'd normally pay. If you aren't working with Hall Financial on your home loan, you're overpaying. Call Hall Financial right now. Learn more about the no-fee home loan option. 866-CALL-HALL or chat with them online at callhallfirst.com. We're 7 games in of a 17-game schedule, and you could start to draw some conclusions, but the last thing we saw, the last thing our eyes showed us was ugly, and the question is it an alarm bell for you, or are you just calling it a one-off? I'm in the one-off camp. Actually, all of us are in the one-off camp, but that doesn't mean you don't soak it all in and say, here's some things we need to focus on. I've got something that's becoming increasingly important to me that I think we need to talk about at 11:05 that I'll be watching the rest of the year. And it's not earth-shattering analysis, believe me, but it just further exemplifies something that's really important to this team. 248-539-9797. Let's get back to your open line calls. We go to Dan. You're on 97 on a ticket. Hi, Dan.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good, Dan.
All right.
Hey, just a couple points. Maybe I could talk a couple people off the ledge and maybe cool some off a little bit. Think about the top teams that have been playing. Look at what happened with the Eagles against the Jets. Look what happened against Miami last night. Look what happened against Kansas City against us. And who Baltimore had a big loss too. That was to Pittsburgh. I mean, it always seems like there's, you're not going to win every game and you're not going to blow everybody out. But I think those games and those teams, those examples, they didn't really even play really good teams.
Well,
if you look at it,
I would say the difference is that they didn't get blown. Those teams in those games, they didn't get blown out 38-6. They were closer games. I think the Pittsburgh game, I think Baltimore lost 17-10, maybe. Kansas City lost to the Lions by a point. You had the Jets the Jets beating. Who was it that you mentioned? The Eagles. That was about a field goal, and then you had the game last night, which maybe Miami falls into an issue that the Lions are having or not. But that was even 14 points last night.
Yeah.
So
it's a big difference between that and 38-6.
Understood. I just hope. Let's just see how they bounce back.
Yeah. Hey, let's hope
right now.
This is why we said let's hope it's a yuck throw it in the garbage game.
Yeah, they've been put on the rush in front here. How do you respond? And there's just a headline on ESPN: Detroit Lion, Lyin. People are going to make fun of him. People are going to call him out. People are going to maybe take a little bit of an approach that this is who we thought they were. People might throw out. No, I'm not even going to do it. 248-539-9797. Let's just get back to the people. We go to line 6, and that is Bob. Hi, Bob.
Hey, good morning. Let's go back and think about what we were talking about at the beginning of the season. We said our goals are win this division and win a home playoff game. We never said this team is perfect. We never said this team isn't still under construction. Okay, we're still under construction. But the two, Gator, I agree 100% with what you're saying. Is our pass rush needs more horsepower. But I'm not gonna. You already hit that point. My other point is, I would not this game today. Plus, watching last night, watching Tua and watching Jalen Hurts. I don't want to see the Lions give Jared Goff an extension. If we have to designate him our designated guy for a couple of years or whatever, in order for us to win the Super Bowl, we have to have a mobile quarterback.
You think?
I believe that, and I think Jared is giving us everything he's got to give, and I think against middle of the road teams and certainly against mediocre teams.
Well,
what about against the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, look, that's
I'll say
that to me, my man's hitting the panic button because a week ago, excuse me, Jared Goff was giving off Tom Brady vibes.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's saying he's Tom Brady, but he was playing the game the way a mobile quarterback has to play it. Let's just say that, right? Yeah. And he was playing at a high level. Yesterday, he didn't do that. Clear, 100%.
And you have those.
But if you're now, it's that is a maybe you believed it all along. Maybe you just think you need a mobile quarterback to win, but he is in the immobile category. Can you win that way? And I mean, Tom Brady proved you can, but Tom Brady's a first ballot obvious Hall of Famer, and Jared Goff is still working on that and, has a long way to go. But I got to tell you, I don't think this changes anything yet. I mean, if he's going to start to struggle like this more often than not, but he's been great, man. He's been great for almost 2 complete seasons.
When you lose a game like this in this fashion, everyone's going to point, your warts get magnified, right?
Yes.
I mean, so if you lose like this, well, Goff needs to be able to move more. J-Mo needs to be able to catch the ball better. Penny needs to block better. Everything is terrible. Anzalone needs to tackle better. Everything is bad. So, yeah, I think we're overreacting because look at the last Super Bowl winners. Other than Mahomes, who's mobile, right, where you can agree, it's been Tom Brady, Matthew Stafford. Are those guys mobile quarterbacks?
No.
So maybe the game is changing to a more mobile quarterback, but I don't think you need to have a mobile quarterback to win. You need a good football team.
Oh, without a question. And, you still have the luxury. Let this thing play out. See how he does. He's been phenomenal for the Lions. Yesterday's game, not a good game for anybody that wore a Lions uniform. So before you throw him away, understand what he's done and what this team has done. The rest of the season, they play one game against a team that has a winning record right now. That's the Cowboys.
248.
So let them make hay right now.
248-539-9797. Let's go to Pete. You're next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Pete.
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Okay.
Hey, listen, I this is a one-off, and I have to say I'm glad it happened at 5-2 and get this out of your system and learn from it. And this is not on Jared Goff. I mean, the whole team was there. But I look at when Anzalone runs to the sideline and then Aaron Glenn's yelling at him, where's Aaron Glenn's adjustments?
Mm-hmm.
In-game adjustments. I mean, when you have, in watching on TV and you have nobody in sight and all, I don't know if they're playing zone or man-to-man or whatever, but they're giving them so much space. And then once Lamar Jackson runs out, he just throws it over their heads. So, I mean, they obviously went to school on us on the defense. So, I mean, this is a great learning curve and something that we got to look at. It was the whole team dysfunctional. And, from there, but this isn't on Goff, like the other caller was saying. So,
well, like I said before, the second half, they played better defensively. And there were I'm sure there were some adjustments made, but the other adjustments are that maybe just Baltimore was saying, okay, we got this. We can kind of coast a little bit and let's take care of things. But the offense has to help the defense out too. If the defense is struggling, then the offense needs to, when they get the ball, they need to hang on to the football for a little bit. They need to drive. They need to eat up some clock. Let the defense recover. And there was none of that in the first half. That first half was almost a perfect first half as you could play by the Ravens. The thing that marred it was that they turned the ball over. Baltimore did.
Yeah, you talk about adjustments for Aaron Glenn. Did he even have time to adjust? It was 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out.
Crazy.
They had 9 plays. Baltimore had 28 points.
248-539-9797. All right, coming up at 11:05, something that I think they really need to shoot for and really need to focus on. That is one. 2 is we got start times for November 4th, college football, Michigan State, Nebraska, Michigan, Purdue, both home games. We'll give you those at 11:02. Why would I be mad, Gator?
I don't know. Why would you be angry? Is it Purdue's a home game? You got to like that, right?
Yes.
It's a home game. So
I'm ready to take it out on somebody.
What is it? Is it a night game?
97.1 The Ticket.
Brought to you by Capital Mortgage Funding. Call 1-800-LOW-RATE, the best mortgage banker. The Lions move forward after their worst loss in a calendar year. They get a full 7 more days until their Monday night matchup at home, and Aiden Hutchinson is expecting some pushback on all of the positive momentum that they've built for themselves. Head coach Dan Campbell will speak today in Allen Park after watching film and sleeping on that blowout in Baltimore. After sweeping back-to-back games over the weekend, the Red Wings feeling good with 10 points in 6 games and sitting atop the East. The next time you can check them out is tomorrow night at home when they host the Kraken. Stanley Amude has made the initial Pistons roster out of training camp and preseason. The 6'6" guard will be given a 2-way contract after averaging nearly 10 points per game in exhibition play. Detroit's season open in 2 days on the road in Miami. No Bogey or Monte Morris for that opener. Michigan State football 7.5-point underdogs for their next contest following a 49-0 loss to rival Michigan. The Spartans are at Minnesota next Saturday. 8-0 Michigan has their bye. And it'll be Rangers versus Astros to determine the American League tonight. Max Scherzer will start for Texas, and it'll be Phillies versus Diamondbacks Game 6. Philly 1 win away from the NL spot in the Fall Classic. At the Ticket Update Desk, I'm Chris Villar. For more, go to 97.1 The Ticket and Odyssey.com.
Did you watch any of the ALCS or NLCS over the weekend, like Friday night by chance?
No.
So they had some fireworks on Friday night.
Oh, I heard about that. Yeah.
So they thought that the Houston pitcher threw at the Texas batter.
Tim Kirkchin. You're not throwing at anybody at this point of the season.
Probably shouldn't, and yet I think he did.
Too.
Sparked the benches emptying. Nobody threw punches. It was okay. But what it did was it ruined the mojo and threw everything off. And then you had a pitcher that waited way too long, to throw again in the 9th inning. And it gave. And then the Astros came up with a couple of hits to start off, and Jose Altuve comes up and launches his 26th home run in the postseason in his career. Only I think Manny Ramirez has hit more home runs in the postseason. He's got 28. Think about that. 26 home runs.
It's incredible.
It's unbelievable. Yeah. And I mean, he's absolute clutch. You say what you want about the Astros and what they knew and what they didn't know. And, at this point, I'm pretty sure they're not stealing signs. This guy just comes alive in the postseason. He didn't have a great regular season, but in the postseason, he's been great. It's been a lot of fun. They got a Game 7 tonight. That's fun. Scherzer's pitching for Texas. And then you've got a Game 6 this afternoon with the Diamondbacks and the Phillies. That's been a fun series as well. If you're giving up on baseball, I guess you've given up on baseball. But the ALCS and the NLCS leading up to the World Series has been pretty entertaining.
All right, so I mentioned before the break, Big Ten start times have been announced for November 4th. Ohio State at Rutgers, noon on CBS. Nebraska at Michigan State, noon on FS1. Wisconsin at Indiana, noon on the Big Ten Network. 3:30 starts, Penn State at Maryland on Fox. Iowa at Northwestern, Peacock. The game's at Wrigley Field. Illinois at Minnesota, Big Ten Network, 7:30 on NBC, Purdue at Michigan.
Oh.
Yep. I'm going to have to come up with just a more healthy approach because I hate night games. Can't stand night games. Got it, once a year. That's cool.
How'd you do with it on Saturday night? Because I know you wanted to watch the Ohio State-Penn State game.
I'll get to that in a minute. I want to spew some venom right now.
Sure, go ahead.
I am going to irrationally take this out moving forward on NBC because they have the night game and they keep choosing Michigan games, and I personally don't like them. I'm being extraordinarily selfish and only caring about my own feelings, and I recognize that, and I don't care.
Selfish bastard.
NBC, go to hell. Now, how did I handle the night game? So I was struggling with Ohio State, Penn State, and really wanting to be able to watch that, pay close attention and all that. Figured if I watched it at home, I was pushing it with traffic and everything, getting up there when we need to be on the air, which I think my first hit was at 5:10.
Ooh, that's tight.
Yeah, and given that game actually I think ended around 4, I would never have made it. But I made the decision to drive up, leave the house at 10 a.m.
Oh.
I was in the press box by noon with Tony Butler, our engineer, and we watched Ohio State, Penn State together.
Was there traffic for you to get there at that point?
No.
Okay, so
No, I was just way ahead of everything. But I spent 12 hours in the press box. 12 hours.
Did you pack a lunch?
I didn't, but Jansen brought some
of
food.
beef?
Yeah, he brought some food. And
What, he brought some food that you would have eaten?
Yeah, I was going to say, could you eat it?
He went to Five Guys and got some fries and got me their veggie sandwich, which was just grilled vegetables on a bun. But I mean, at that point, I was starving, so I ate it. I didn't plan very well for this, but 12 hours in the press box.
So you
That's
watched,
how I handle it.
So you watched that game from the press box,
Yeah.
and then I guess you said close to 4:00, and you go on the air an hour and a half later. So
Yep. So, and then I watched, Iowa, Minnesota. My God, that fair catch signal that they think Cooper DeJean made. There's a field level camera where he's waving for his teammates to get away from it.
Yeah.
And I think the refs completely blew that.
Well, he's got one arm. He's pointing with one arm, and his left arm's like doing the windmill type thing. It's tough. That's a tough way to. I mean, because that's a guy who's absolutely going to return to football. He's the best, one of the best in college football at returning punts. And for those that don't know, I mean, they were down by a couple points at that point.
They were down 3, and he returned a punt for a touchdown. Stop me if you've heard this
inside
before.
of 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That would have put Iowa up. Look, this was a hilarious game because the over-under was set at 30.5 by the time they kicked off.
Mm-hmm.
And the under hit.
Yep. Of course it did.
Because it was 13-10, was that the final? Something like that?
Yeah, I think so. Anyway.
He's their best offensive player, and he doesn't play offense.
Nope.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you know what this game really magnified for me?
The Lions?
Yeah, this Lions game. They need home field.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that game was a bad weather game. It was windy as hell. The Lions looked completely different. And I think it impacted the Lions pass game. People say it didn't impact the Ravens pass game. But no, they had some other threats, and Lamar did a much better job at handling it. But I think that right now, if the Lions are to achieve incredible goals, it probably has to go through Ford Field. Because if you have to go to Philly or San Francisco in January.
Yeah, I hear you. You'd certainly like to have those games played at home, controlled environment.
I mean, you always want home field, but obviously that's clear. But I mean, is this not the further example of why?
Could be.
It's more than just having the fans on your side.
But it also could be the effects of not having David Montgomery. Would they have tried to run the ball more in the first 9 plays? If Montgomery were there, like, okay, we're going up the middle, but because we have Jahmyr Gibbs, we're not going to want to do that as much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you had a healthy tandem, 1-2 tandem that you felt confident about, we got Montgomery, we got Gibbs. Is your game plan different than what it was yesterday? I don't know if it is or isn't. All right. I wasn't happy with the way that they scripted the first 9 plays. I wasn't happy with the way the offensive line collapsed a little bit.
I mean, again, I'm being serious here because obviously you always want home field. I think this team needs it more than anybody else.
They might.
248-539-9797. So, if they get that, I'm right back on board them reaching a ceiling that is unprecedented in a lifetime. If they don't, it's clear that it's going to be extraordinarily difficult and maybe even impossible. So we'll see. 248-539-9797. Some folks have been very patient. Let's go to John. You're on 97 on the ticket. Hi, John.
Hi. How you guys doing today?
Okay.
I just had an interesting thought, and I just think that when we took a day off practice last week to rest players, I think that's why we looked unprepared. And to be honest, I'm happy we did because I'd take the rest over this loss. I think we can manage this loss.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, look, if they can't, if they don't respond well to this, John, then they're probably not. They probably don't have the right makeup. And we've spent a bunch of weeks where they looked absolutely like a strong team with good leadership and a good culture. Well, it's easy to say you have a good culture when you're winning. Doesn't it really get measured now?
I just think it's I would even champ Dan Campbell for giving us the rest, because I think it's so much more important for us to be healthy down the stretch than it is to win one game, especially one that everyone could have looked at as a loss prior to the game coming up.
Hey, thanks for the phone call. Joey's next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hi, Joey.
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good, sir.
Good. First time, long time, ever since you guys started.
Appreciate
I'm in San Diego, California, and long-time Lions fan. I think the problem here is the top-end depth, right? If you look at the last two drafts, 6 picks, J-Mo, Gibbs, Campbell, Luis Enrique, Pascal, Melanfamu. If you look at them, you should get more contribution from those players at those positions. And we've been filling it in. I agree with Gator the whole time. We wanted to get that guy from I think it was Washington. The frontline depth, it's not there, and they fill them in with these guys who are overachievers, kicking butt, but it's not difference making guys at the 2-12, two spots at 12. And I love Brad Holmes. I think he's amazing. I'm not knocking in any way, and I'm not jumping off the bandwagon. I really do think, like Gator said earlier, based on the schedule alone, I think I'm still confident about the season. We have 5 games against our division. We have a lot more teams to go, but I really think it's guys like that, those 6 guys, those 6 picks, that if they were contributing to us at this point in time overall, it would be an entirely different situation. J-Mo is, I don't know if it's him or if it's Goff who's lost. Every time he's catching a ball, it's like, where's the ball? He's tracking it down or it's short. Melanfamu, obviously, I wouldn't, he's subpar at best. Pascal's in and out. Luis Enrique can't even make the team based on his injuries. And Gibbs is great. I just don't know if they're using him correctly or whatever. I think that's the problem overall in our depth on our team. We look good. We beat teams we're supposed to beat, but when we play somebody who schemed up against us, we get punched in the mouth. We really do.
That's all true. They still beat Kansas City.
Yeah. I understand what he's saying. And the guy from Washington I like was Deron Payne in the offseason, was hoping that the Commanders weren't going to come up with an extension with him. They did. They gave him monster money. He stayed there. And that's a defensive tackle that gets push. Like there are a handful of guys like that in the league, and he was one of them. That being said, they've gotten some contributions from some of the players he mentioned, and some of these guys are first and second year players. Let it play out a little bit. Pascal just returned to the team yesterday and actually had 4 tackles in the game. Jack Campbell is. I still like Jack Campbell a lot, but they made some picks with skill players that they could have made picks for defensive players, specifically on that defensive line, that they passed on. Time's going to tell whether that was a good move or not. The returns, if you're just going to compare it to yesterday, obviously Jameson Williams, not much of a factor in the game. He had a drop pass. He had also passes that were poorly thrown. There was an interference call that wasn't called that, clearly made a difference, and the ball hit him in the face mask and makes him look foolish. And then you see a closer look at it. The defender clearly chops his arm as he's trying to go up to catch it, and it's not called. But he doesn't – there's a mix-up on a play, a swing pass where he kind of stopped the route and Goff led him, and he had to kind of extend an arm, and it was incomplete. It's disappointing, and it's frustrating, and it's a process, and it's a learning process, and you can clearly see that he's got a lot to learn. On the other side, Gibbs had 120 yards in offense, 111 yards in offense, whatever it was. And I like what they're getting from him. And I think there's a clear path of not greatness, but of how this offense is supposed to look when Montgomery's healthy with him. They're 2 totally different backs, and they both mean a lot to the offense. It'd be nice to see them on the field at the same time.
Jump into NBA action with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass, courtesy of FanDuel, when they place a $5 bet on the NBA. That way, you can watch all the action as you bet on everything from point spreads to player props. Best of all, you get paid your winnings instantly. So, don't miss your chance to get $200 in bonus bets plus 3 months of NBA League Pass. Just visit FanDuel.com/Doug and tip off the NBA season right. FanDuel, official partner of the NBA. Must be 21 or over and present in Michigan. New customer offer. First online real money wager only. Refund issued as now withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days. All customer offer. $5 wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See terms for both offers at FanDuel.com/sportsbook. Gambling problems, call 1-800-270-7117 for confidential help. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply. That's Alex Anzalone. And yeah, Lions were, I mean, that was 60 minutes of brutal football. And, you know, the question is, does it send off alarm bells in your head? Is this an alert? Is this a danger sign? Or is it a one-off yuck, throw it in the garbage. We're all in the yuck, throw it in the garbage category, and it would be great if we could debate it amongst ourselves, but we're mostly debating it with the listeners. We've given our reasons why. Champ and Chump also on this Monday, 248-539-9797. Obviously, Michigan beat Michigan State pretty soundly. You've got the Red Wings, who look like the best team in hockey. Pistons start on Wednesday, so a lot going on. Let's get back to your open line calls. Who's next here? Tommy, you're on 97 on the ticket. Hi, Tommy. Oh, my bad. Hold on. Tommy, there you go.
There it is.
How you doing, guys?
Okay.
Good. Listen, I don't think rest got anything to do with it, and Montgomery being out. One guy out's not going to turn that game around. I think that we just weren't put in the right position by Aaron Glenn. I mean, you can't play zone the entire game. You just can't do that. You know, you're trying to stop the quarterback from running on you, so you're playing zone. Sometimes you got to switch it up. Drop a safety back. Bring a safety in. And I also think that we need some playmakers. I mean, he drafts great. Don't get me wrong. But you're going to have to bring in a Burns or a Surtain or a Chase Young. Everyone does it. Everyone brings in, like McCaffrey. They bring him in. You know, you have to bring some playmakers in. You just can't draft. Nobody want to spend any money. You're going to have to get some playmakers in. That's just my opinion.
I don't think I disagree with the don't nobody want to spend any money. I think the Lions are perfectly fine with spending right up to the cap. I don't think there's anything wrong as far as that's concerned. But, I mean, they'll have to decide, and they still have time, you know, what if they need anything and what they need. And a lot of it depends on the price. We don't know what the market's going to be for Surtain or Burns, but they'll have to make some decisions. Now, as far as Aaron Glenn's concerned, I'm going to bet strongly that Aaron Glenn isn't going to go back to his office, put his feet on the desk, and go, "Wasn't me." I think he's probably going to reevaluate some of the things he's doing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's nobody in that building that is in any meeting going, "I don't know why you guys looking at me. It wasn't me."
Yeah,
it's everybody else.
I mean, who do you think had a worse day, Ben Johnson or Aaron Glenn? Because I know Aaron Glenn's getting a lot of the vitriol today, but Ben Johnson didn't have the best game plan either.
I feel like Ben Johnson, and slightly over Aaron Glenn. This was an offense. It's a top 5 offense in the league, and you're expecting at some point, let's go, let's get it clicking here, and it just never did.
When they didn't score right before half, I was like,
no, they were donezo.
Well, that was the only path we were looking for. They had to score because they were going to get the ball to start the second half. So that you can get 2 touchdowns.
The double dip.
Yep. And then get back in this game. Once they didn't do that, Doug, you're right. It was bad. But the first 3 drives, they did not get 1 first down to help that defense out. 1 first down. They would run the ball like you want to get on first down, get nothing, then throw an incomplete pass and be 3rd and long. It was like the same thing over and over.
I would have liked to have seen doubling down on the run. You know, first down, run it. Second down, run it. And see where you're at 3rd down. If you're at 3rd and 8, then so be it. I guess you got to abandon the run. But if you're at 3rd and 3, boy, that's a lot more manageable than 3rd and 10.
3rd and 7.
Yeah.
248-539-9797. We go to Eric next on 97 on the ticket. What's up, Eric?
Hey, how you doing, guys?
Okay.
Enjoy your show a lot.
Thank you.
A couple of things I'd like to touch on. The caller before me stole the thunder. I think they should go out and try to get Burns a Surtain, because one thing I noticed yesterday was, why was the defensive backs giving their receivers so much cushion to where they was just doing what they wanted to do? Number 2, is it me or am I wrong? It seems like every time that Jared Goff throws the ball to Jameson, not all the time, it's either at his feet or his lower legs. If you got a burner, shouldn't you lead him so he can stretch out and catch the ball while he's in stride? And number 2, you need more push up the middle. You got to have more push up the middle, because if you don't do that, you collapse the pocket, you get the push up the middle, then you got your quarterback right there.
A couple things here. One is the Goff Jameson thing is getting a little weird, because how many times have we seen Jameson looking over the wrong shoulder or Goff throwing over the wrong shoulder?
They don't appear in sync at all.
Not at all.
I know that the wind plays a role in some of that stuff when you're throwing downfield, like in yesterday's game, but we saw it indoors at Ford Field. We've seen that. They just, for whatever reason, I don't know if it's just more reps, which I imagine is what he'll say. It's, hey, we just need more reps together, because there is an adjustment to a guy that has that kind of speed. But it does seem, I agree with the caller, and Ken and I were talking about before the show, it does seem like every pass is some kind of flutter ball or underthrown or over the wrong shoulder or whatever, whether that's a mix-up in communication, like, hey, J-Mo, the ball's supposed to be on this side, look on this side, or if it's just a bad pass. But these passes, I mean, remember the game against Tampa, they had the 3 passes to on the one drive. 3 were terrible passes, and he caught 2 of them.
And the one pass that he did throw well, there was J-Mo's arm got held down by the defensive back.
That was a perfect pass.
Great throw by Goff
Great
on
throw.
that one. And he only had one hand and hit him in the face mask.
And somehow they don't call a penalty.
At that point, we're just like, whatever, right?
But give me something to be like, all right, there it is. Let's build on that. I wanted something to build on, and that was a play that we should have been building on, and no call.
248-539-9797. More of your phone calls and feedback coming up. 97.1. Obviously, it's Jared Goff, and we will talk to him tomorrow here on 97.1 A Ticket, and his attitude is what I would expect. It's what I'd expect. The point spread for that game against the Raiders is out. What do you think it is? Have you seen it?
I have not.
Okay.
I would guess Lions minus 6.5.
Kang, have you seen it?
I have not.
What do you think?
I got Lions minus 6.
It is the Lions minus 7.5.
Wow. More than a touchdown.
All right. The hook. They got a hook in there.
Yep. 248-539-9797. Let's get back to your open line calls. We go to Kevin in Oak Park. You are next. What's up, Kevin?
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, I'm going to give you my champ and chump. My champ is the Detroit Red Wings, and my chump is the Lions and Michigan State.
I got to pick one.
Yeah, pick one.
Okay, Michigan State.
All right. That hurts.
Hey, Gator.
Yeah.
Quick question.
Yeah.
What's your favorite tequila?
That's a great question.
Wow, what a wheelhouse question.
I like it. I like it. Thanks for changing my day.
Yeah.
My favorite tequila, like a sipping tequila, money, no object. The one that at least the tequila I've had is a Gran Patron Bordeaux.
Okay.
It's a extra añejo that's aged in a Bordeaux cask. So it's got a sweeter flavor to it. Almost tastes like a scotch.
Not even in my top 5.
Yeah, that's probably my favorite. But for a sipper, I love Maestro Dobel. I think that's a great one. Is it just like an everyday sipper?
Yeah, I'm an everyday sipper of tequila myself.
Yeah, which is yours?
I like that Patron.
Yeah, Patron's solid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They got some solid tequilas there.
Interesting changing to change of gears there, right? Switched lanes.
I did not have a tequila this week.
What's your favorite John Stamos movie? 248-539-9797. Let's go to Bob. You're next on 97.1. Hi, Bob.
Yeah, Cars, perhaps back to the college game just a little bit.
Sure.
Because you see them up close. In the past 2 games, Michigan's running attack just hasn't been there. I thought, especially against the rain with Indiana that night, they'd have a running attack, and against Michigan State, whatever they are, I thought they'd have some running attack there. You think they can run the Big Ten table with just with the passing game? What's your opinion?
It's an interesting question because the last couple of years when they got to the game at the end, Bob, it was the running game that pushed them across the finish line against Ohio State.
It got them past Penn State.
Yeah.
Got them past Ohio State last year.
It's a valid question because what did Ohio State take into the last 2 Michigan-Ohio State games? An elite passing game. And that's what it looks like Michigan has right now. Are they going to need a run game in November? And I feel like the answer is yes. And yet, is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. Would it be awfully helpful to get that thing going? It would, and we're going into game 9 here, and they haven't gotten it going.
For me, it's the only
at an
question,
elite level.
It's the only real question mark I have about Michigan is running the football, which I wouldn't have thought was a question going into the season, but they didn't run the ball well against Michigan State at all.
Didn't run it against Indiana at all in the rain, and
they only won by 49 points.
Yeah, I know that, but they picked up a couple guys on portal I thought were supposed to help them offensive line, correct?
Well, the offensive line's been very good in protecting the quarterback, and the passing game's been great, but running the ball has been difficult.
Yeah,
so here's one thing that's interesting to think of, and then maybe this is something that, part of this is they haven't got to the we'll wear you down and shove it down your throat in the fourth quarter stage of a game yet because Blake Corum has 4 fourth quarter snaps. And he is last year, you know what he averaged yards per carry? 5.9. This year he's averaging 5.4. It's not that big of a difference.
No, but in a game like Michigan State on Saturday night, he runs for 3.9.
Right.
And I think that's and again, only 59 yards in the game. You're like, what's going on?
It's hard to know if it's just if it's going to be the inverse of last year, where all year long they're like, all they can do is run, and then they get to Ohio State. In the Ohio State, Purdue, and the Fiesta Bowl, they took deep shots successfully.
Yeah, they still had 477 yards in offense. I think they're okay.
248-539-9797. Next up is Torrance on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Torrance?
What's going on, fellas?
How we doing?
Good. It was just a bad week, bad preparation for the week because we started off 2nd and 12 for the first 3 drives. Golf's kryptonite right there. We couldn't get anything on 2nd down, couldn't convert nothing on 3rd down, and it kept Lamar Jackson comfortable. He was able to stay balanced, able to run the ball. It was just a bad schematic week. It was really a David Montgomery appreciation week because he keeps us in those 2nd and 6 just because he falls forward. Like it isn't pretty, but you see why Jahmyr Gibbs is on the sideline and David Montgomery's out there because he keeps us in 2nd and 6 where Amon-Ra can get a pass for 3 yards and he can turn it for 12. We could continually just stay balanced. Like Jared Goff, he haven't won a game with his arm since he's been there. Ben Johnson normally knocks out.
I disagree with that.
Whoa.
No, well, coming from behind, I'm saying he's great when the game is, in hand, when it's balanced, when it's 7-point game. But when we down 14 points and we have to throw on that second layer, have to make some tight throws, I haven't seen Jared Goff, really bring us from behind. Like we're normally a balanced team. The scheme, the play calling normally keeps us ahead of the game. But when we're down and we have to pass, it looked real bad. I actually bet live down 21 points, and I said he's not going to come back. Let me just go ahead and throw a couple of dollars on here because Baltimore going to walk him off.
I mean, I guess then the moral of the story is don't fall behind. I'm not sure that that's completely true. In fact, I know that I'm trying to figure out there was a game, but I'll go through and see if that is true. I mean, so the interesting thing is blame Goff because when they get down by 14, they don't come back, or blame the defense for getting down by 14, or blame the entire team for getting down by 14.
Well, here's where I blame the offense. This is an offense that was averaging 28 points going into the game, and they come away with 6.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure why the hell they went for 2. That made no sense at all to me, why they go for 2.
Yeah.
And they probably should have had a touchdown drive at the end of the game, but the pass interference wasn't called. It would have been right down there to score again. But even still, had they scored a touchdown there, it would have been half their typical total.
They haven't. The Bears game last year, they were down by 14, came back and won, the one in Chicago. Now, that did include a defensive touchdown, but Goff led them on a couple of big touchdown drives. So it has happened.
Is that the Hutchinson touchdown?
That is the Jeff Okudah.
Oh, Jeff Okudah.
Yeah.
Jeff Okudah.
Wow. 248-539-9797. Wayne is next here on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Wayne?
Hey, how you doing, gentlemen?
We're good, thank
I
you.
want to talk about the Baltimore linebackers with all that speed and the type of offense we ran, that the short passes wasn't going to work because they were everywhere. Them linebackers was super fast. And what I want to ask you guys, do you think we should go with it when we play up fast linebackers to 4 wide, 5 wide, to spread them out a little more?
I'm not sure. I think that one of the issues with playing the Ravens and John Harbaugh teams, he does a great job at disguising what kind of defense they're in and who's blitzing and who's not blitzing. But having Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen at linebacker doesn't hurt. Those guys are some of the best in football, and there's a correlation to Baltimore being one of the better defenses in football since they acquired Roquan Smith.
Correct.
He's just great, and I felt like they were. There was the one time that I think Goff he got sacked when the defensive back came in. Never saw him because he was disguised. You just didn't know he was coming, and all of a sudden loops around, gets to the back to the blind side, and boom, it's over with. And it seemed like there wasn't a whole lot of time to throw. So if you want to throw the ball a little deeper for the intermediate or deeper routes, you got to have time to throw that, and they didn't have time.
But I think when we play linebackers as fast as they are, like Philly and San Francisco or even Seattle, we have to spread them out and make them linebackers cover these faster guys we have, especially the two rookies, because they have to do more for us to move forward like we want to, because golf is playing spectacular, man.
So what you just came up with, Wayne, and what you're talking about, Wayne, and my question is, do you think the Lions have a good offensive coordinator who knows what he's doing?
Sure, yep.
And so he takes in what he just saw, and when they face a team like this, come at it from a different approach. Because if you're right, if it was schematic and how they approached it, kind of trust our guy.
Heard a little bit more that Kyle Van Noy was making plays all over the place. He had a couple sacks, a couple tackles for loss.
I'm so over that. So over that. Now, is sometimes DeAndre Swift making me go, especially when our DeAndre Swift replacement is out injured. But I guess we'll just wait and see how that plays itself out. 248-539-9797. Carson Anderson, 97.1, The Ticket. I think he's right.
He's damn right.
This is that's the tone. This has to be a one-off. And he's going to make sure, the best he is, going to make sure it's a one-off. 248-539-9797. Did you see the handshake between Brittany Mahomes and Taylor Swift? Do you see they got a handshake now? They're such good friends. Two people from different social circles, they come together and they just have developed this great, authentic friendship. And it's
different social circles.
Yeah.
You think so?
Well, one runs with pop stars, and the other one's in the world of sports.
Right.
Yeah.
One's a billionaire, and one's married to somebody who's going to make over $500 million in his
Yeah, I think they come from different backgrounds, and it's just nice to see them develop this authentic friendship.
Is it being documented at all? Is there any way to keep track of this?
I did see some people complaining. Every time I turn it off, and it's like, well, then you're being really stubborn because they got 45 seconds of airtime in a 3-hour broadcast. It's probably not worth turning off, but
keep cutting to it.
They do cut to it a lot.
Well, did you see ESPN posted like a picture of Taylor Swift and Brittany Mahomes, and it got easily the most views of any tweets they ever put out, like by millions. So
should we try the same thing?
Well, 90% of
it and see if it's our most viewed tweet ever.
Maybe, but 90% of the tweets are negative. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
but they're still clicking and they're still reacting to it.
At some point, we got to draw a line. All right, let's get back to your open line calls. Who's next here? AJ, you're on 97 to take it. What's up, AJ?
Hey, guys, great show as usual.
Thank you.
Just got a couple of points. One is before this game, there was rumors of us making the Super Bowl, and all of a sudden we lose a game by significant points, and all of a sudden we haven't drafted well, we're not playing good, all that, and I think that's kind of ridiculous. My other point is going back to the guy who was complaining about our depth in our draft, and I would say that the Lions have probably drafted as well as anybody in the last 3 years, starting with Hutchinson, and the guys that they drafted last year, Laporta and Campbell, are making significant contributions to the Lions. So I don't know what everybody's so upset about or freaking out about it, but I think
those first four picks are. I mean, you look at this past draft. I mean, Jahmyr Gibbs obviously is a big part of the offense. Jack Campbell, big part of the defense. Brian Branch and Laporta, same thing. They need to stay healthy. Like to see Jahmyr Gibbs stay healthy for the whole season. Like to, please God, let Laporta stay healthy because he looks fantastic.
He made a catch in that game, AJ and Gator. It was a 7-yard catch. It's completely inconsequential, but it was above him. He had to use one hand to kind of direct the ball back towards his body, pull it in, and catch it. I'm like, that's elite level stuff, and it's not going to matter. It's not going to matter, but he's capable of it, and he continues to show it. So I struggle a little bit with should have drafted this guy, should have drafted that guy when we're in the midst of having the best drafting GM in Detroit Lions history. And it's not because the should have drafted this guy or should have drafted that guy is even wrong, but I feel like holding Brad Holmes up to a standard that nobody hits, which is perfect. And AJ's right. This guy has crushed the draft. And, if you miss on some picks, including first rounders, you have to be able to overcome those things. We've often talked about, go look at in the midst of the Patriots run, they missed on a ton of picks. So did the Seahawks when they won, put together Super Bowl caliber team. You miss on picks, including in the first round. You just got to get way more right than wrong. And he's done that. And we still get the should have drafted this guy, should have drafted that guy, which I struggle with that. I don't think it's seeing the big picture.
There's a line in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street where Leo DiCaprio's character is a stockbroker at this point, and his pitch to one of his clients is, don't judge me on my winners, judge me on my losers. I feel like people are judging on the losers, which isn't fair because you're not seeing all the wins. Like all you're seeing is Levi Onwuzurike hasn't played to the potential. We haven't seen enough of Josh Paschal or whatever pick you think hasn't panned out, Jameson Williams or whatever. Mm-hmm. Instead of seeing the bigger picture of, oh my God, look how much production they've gotten out of the ones that have hit that you wouldn't even think of. Not to mention the undrafted free agents that you bring in onto the practice squad that are now part of this team. He's done far more good than bad.
248-539-9797. We go to Ben next on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Ben?
Hey, guys. I appreciate you taking my call.
Thanks for calling.
There wasn't too much that I was happy to hear or watch on the game yesterday, but I am going to not focus as much on the offense right now. I want to ask about the defense. I heard earlier in the show you guys said that the Lions may need more of a home field advantage than any other team. I'm curious if you could elaborate on that a little bit, just given a couple of our other 2 wins on the road. But
this was the first really bad weather game, Ben. This is the game where the wind was playing a significant factor, which I imagine it's possible if they get, like, everybody wants home field. Okay, let me make that clear. The Lions might need it more than anybody else because that game was such an outlier. I wonder how much. Justin and Jared Goff isn't perfect, and maybe this is something that'd be an issue. And so, I think San Francisco doesn't need home field, and I think Philly doesn't need home field. I think Detroit might need home field.
Dallas would too.
Okay,
yeah.
I understand that. Well, my question for you guys now is: do you think that this is another team this year that's been able to exploit a weakness in our defense, being that we may not be good against a mobile quarterback?
I think it's possible, but how many more mobile quarterbacks are they going to face this year? If it gets to the playoffs and you're looking at Jalen Hurts, okay, then we're going to have a conversation about what needs to improve on this team.
Right.
But is that the only quarterback left?
I'm worried about coming up. Well, we've had him. We've already played Geno Smith, and that was the first time that I saw that he was just able to not really put our defense on our back, but definitely catch us flat-footed.
I imagine this team wants to play Geno Smith badly.
Yeah.
Honestly, just to get back, I mean, it's been 3 games in a row where the Lions have been, beaten by Seattle. This last one was obviously very close, went to overtime, and it was a coin flip that decided it. So,
it was a coin flip and then a drive.
Well, I think whoever got the ball in overtime was going to win.
Yeah, but if you don't get the ball, stop somebody, but
hit some damn body.
248, stop some damn body. 248-539-9797. Brian, you're next on 97.1 The Ticket. Hello, Brian.
Hey, so what I wanted to say was I just think we can't go this long with this many injuries and it not catch up with us. So I feel like this was bound to happen at some point. And I think what we need to do to help Goff a lot is sign Leonard Fournette to ensure that backfield, make sure we're getting at least, 4 yards of carry in that first down. And the other thing I want to know what you guys thought of that. And then I wanted to know, what do you guys think of, I guess, is there anything specific that you think we should do on the defensive side of the ball to sign someone?
Well, let's start with this. As far as the running back, with the loss of Mo Ibrahim, and God, how unfortunate is that? The poor kid, first time he gets the ball, he dislocates his hip. And I just...
So looking forward to him. Yeah. I was so excited when I saw he was activated from the practice squad, not only elevated to the practice squad, and then elevated to the active roster. I was excited.
It's going to be intriguing to see who they bring in because they got an open spot.
Well, Fournette hasn't been signed by anybody else either. Yeah. So, and I know he worked out for teams last week. So why is that?
So that's one. 2 is defensively. I mean, they're going to have to evaluate, and we've got 8 days. 8 days to make up their minds. I imagine that it's not like they're going to play the Monday night game and then start making calls at 1 a.m. with, what would that be, like 17 hours to go to the trade deadline, or whatever it is. So I suspect that those calls are going on right now to lay the groundwork for any possible trades, to find out prices for any possible trades.
Well, and I wonder if, does this game at all change the thought of we need to get a pass rusher or somebody up the middle? And if you're looking at Carolina, do you choose between Brian Burns and Derek Brown? 2 different positions. One's an edge rusher and Burns, and Derek Brown is more of a defensive tackle. Derek Brown's got 10 more tackles on the season than Burns does. Now, he's not the pass rusher, but he does get pressure up the middle.
248-539-9797. Emery is next on 97.1 The Ticket. What's up, Emery?
Hey, guys. Hey, Gator. What's up, my brother?
Hey, Emery. What's happening, man?
Not much, man. Celebrating a birthday, man. So I'm out here, man.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, man. I'll be short. I know you guys are up against it, man. I would just say the sky is not falling. The Lions are going to be fine. We don't need to go pick up any more defensive ends. We got people coming back. The schedule is the way it's going to be is perfect for us. Yeah, we may need another running back, but yesterday was definitely a system error. It happens to the best of us, and guess what happened? We're still leading the division, and we're in the top 3 in the conference. Everybody stop panicking. Follow the process. Go Lions. See you guys later, Matt.
Thanks, Emery.
Interesting choice of words. A system error. It's a glitch in the matrix.
I'm starting to think that, look, I get that there can be the wait and see. You don't need to, or not wait and see approach. Just don't go full in on the trade deadline thing.
Mm-hmm.
But because injuries are a part of the game, it's an insurance policy too, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know someone else is going to get hurt.
Yep.
There's nothing, and you've got the wherewithal to add to this team. This is a different position that the Lions have been in years past. They're building this thing the right way. They may not need first-round picks. You know, if you wanted to forego a first-round pick, you can do so to acquire that player. It's going to be an exciting 8 days, I think, leading up to that trade deadline.
248-539-9797. Hey, Twin Peaks has some awesome news for Detroit football fans out there. The Twin Peaks, Livonia, and Madison Heights locations. They're going to be raffling off a pair of tickets for the hottest event this fall, Detroit's Monday night football game a week from today. You heard that right. Stop into Livonia or Madison Heights and watch San Francisco against your favorite QB alum from MSU in Minnesota. Not only can you watch the game on their 50-plus TVs, but enjoy all your favorites while doing it. Bring the crew and take advantage of $15 Bud Light buckets during the game. Share the awesome apps like their bold and crispy flatbreads, the spicy Thai ribs, or the always clutch Peak Sampler featuring tenders, fried pickles, and cheese bites. You know, they've extended their hours for late night. More on that in a minute. But take advantage of this great offer tonight. Chance to win tickets for the game a week from tonight in downtown Detroit. Remember, night owls out there, take advantage of their late night happy hours, which are great for Mondays and Thursdays when you're watching football. Go to TwinPeaksRestaurant.com to find the location nearest you. Go to TwinPeaksRestaurant.com to find the specials, the late night specials, and go to TwinPeaksRestaurant.com/Peaks-Club to join the E-Club so you know all about it. Again, tonight, the Livonia Madison Heights location giving away tickets for the game a week from today. 97.1 The Ticket. Champ and Chump, get your votes in 248-539-9797. Glad to be with you here on a Monday in Detroit. Unfortunately, I mean, look, this Lions game to digest was not a good one. Michigan State, obviously a good one for Michigan, not so good for MSU. The Red Wings, I mean, at some point, they're going to cross a threshold, and we're all going to decide how real they are. Pistons start their season on Wednesday. They were doing it without Bogdanovich out with a calf. Monty Morris, who they just brought in as a back injury. So, hey, man, it's a lot going on. So 248-539-9797. So yesterday the Lions got, I mean, Lamar Jackson put on a masterclass of being Lamar Jackson. Like, that's Lamar Jackson at his best. So we can start with crediting him. He went out and looked like the most dangerous weapon in the NFL, did he not?
He did. He's my champ of the week. I mean, 357 yards passing, 3 touchdown passes, a touchdown run. His maneuverability to create extra time and create extra space is off the charts. His athleticism is amazing. He's no longer this guy to just, hey, pocket collapses, I'm going to take off and go. Pocket collapses, I'm going to move around, buy a little more time, tease you a little bit. I'm going to spin around here, make you look foolish. I got all this space now and all this time, and that's all I needed to let these guys get open. And he made some great passes downfield to Flowers and Bateman and Beckham and Andrews. Everybody was getting involved. It was just a near flawless performance from one of the game's greats.
And you know, there's the question is, when he's playing that well, can anybody do anything about it? And the answer is probably yes. The Lions provided little resistance. They did nothing offensively. Their defense got worn down. I mean, it was just overall a brutal performance by the Lions. And, you know, we're asking people, is this a one-off? Is this something that you can just say, yuck, throw it in the garbage? Or is this setting off alarm bells in your head? Is this an alert? Is this a warning? 248-539-9797. We all here, if you've just joined us, I think it's a yuck, throw it in the garbage. I don't think you overreact. I still think that the Detroit Lions, we spent 9 months kind of wondering how good they were and deciding that, you know what, actually, I think they're pretty damn good. Then they spent 5 of the 7 games they've played showing that they're pretty damn good. And you get to this one, and I just think it's one of those games. I think it's one of those games. Now, it doesn't mean you don't look to get better. It doesn't mean you pat yourself on the back and treat it like a win. You certainly don't do that.
No.
But this kind of stuff happens. Kang's point's a really good one, and that is, did anyone play well? When the entire team, across the board with very few exceptions, play what I would argue is their worst game of the season, that feels like such an outlier that we shouldn't overreact. And that's his biggest reason for not panicking, is it's just there was too much that went wrong to say that there's a lot of truth and that's who they are.
It's a helpless feeling. You know, we either call it, kind of mentioned it, like systems failure. Think about that. When you go to start your car, nothing starts. Like, whoa. Why won't this? Lights aren't coming on. I got another. It's dead battery, dead starter. What do I got? Like, you're dead in the water. You can't go in. And that's what the feeling was yesterday. They just could do nothing. They were impotent offensively, and defensively it was the same. They couldn't stop Baltimore. They were down 28-0 before they got their first down. Think about that. 28-0 with 7.5 to go in the first quarter. And then they get the first down. I mean, the yards against were like 300 and something to 6.
Yep.
Before they get the first down. That is unheard of with an offense. It's a top 5 offense in the league. And to give up that much yardage and that many points to a top 10 defense, yeah, I agree. It's a yuck, throw it in the garbage. And hopefully I'm sure there's plenty on that tape that'll make it go, all right, we got to improve this and this and this. But I wonder if there's also stuff on that tape that says is it not as bad either? Because there's plays to be made. We just made the wrong read or whatever. I don't know.
Oh no.
Is it?
I can't
fixed
imagine.
Oh, you know what? I got confused. You're right. I made this. I turned right and I should have turned left. Whatever the case is.
Well, they said, I think Campbell said after the game a little bit, it was some execution issues there. They got their teeth kicked in. They got humbled. Every facet of the game, they were just manhandled. They didn't even show up. You mentioned it, 28-0 before they even got a first down. But overall, I think that was a very, very bad loss and not a very, very bad team. We have too much evidence that this team is a good team, and sometimes this happens in the league. People mention, has this ever happened to a Super Bowl contending team? Yes, it happened to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in 2020. They got destroyed by the Saints. It was 38-3. I know they had Tom Brady, and I'm not saying Jared Goff is Tom Brady, but you can have these sometimes in a season. You're going to have some clunkers. Last year they had, the Carolina game, New England, right? Those are clunkers. This team is different. This team is better. And Campbell mentioned it yesterday as well. How will this team respond is the big key. Monday night, Raiders, they got to show up.
248-539-9797. Let's get back to your open line calls, champ and chum votes. If you want to get those in, Len's in Chesterfield. He's on 97.1. What's up, Len?
Hey, guys. Great show. I just want to say my champ is Stevie Eiserman and the Red Wings.
Yeah.
And my chump is the Lions defense, in particular, their non-existent pass rush. I think it's actually worse than last year. And wow, they're counting like 8 seconds, 7 seconds that Jackson had yesterday. But Baltimore team's exactly a team that will beat the Lions every time. A good defense, a strong pass rush, and a mobile quarterback. And Lamar's a much better version of Geno Smith, who we have trouble with. So I think we need another pass rusher. If they shut down Hutchinson, the quarterbacks are going to give us trouble, not only mobile quarterbacks.
Yeah, we're not seeing enough from the Acquiras, Charles Harris, Kaminsky.
Hey, right,
Kaminsky is
right.
not having the season that he had last year.
No.
And they need to get more out of those guys. They did a great job up until yesterday stopping the run. They were number one team in the NFL in stopping the run, and then yesterday comes around and they give up 150 yards or close to it, and that's more than twice the total. Yesterday is just one of those games. I'm convinced of it.
I think Lamar Jackson played so well in the run game and the pass game and in extending plays. I think he got into the Lions' heads defensively, and I'm no defensive coordinator. I'm no pass rush specialist. But I kind of think I saw the Lions change. I think Lamar got into their heads, and I'll get into the reasons why, what I saw, and you tell me if I'm wrong.
Okay.
We'll get to that at 12:16, plus more of your phone calls and feedback. It's Carson Anderson, 97.1. Well, there you go. Dan Campbell after the game. I like the soundbite we played earlier where he said, look, it is what it is, but if we don't come out and respond against the Raiders,